Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Philadelphia Fusion Protect the King tournament. I'm one of your hosts, Nekra, joined by the lovely Boopasaurus, and we're donning our fusion gear today. Why don't you tell everybody why?
Oh, man, today is going to be hosted by the Philadelphia Fusion. We are doing something called Protect the King today. And so we wanted to rep a little bit of our pride. As you said, you're the #1 fangirl, Philly Fusion fangirl in Philadelphia, and I'm the #1 Fusion fanboy in Colorado. Self-proclaimed. I know it for a fact here, but I'm so excited. We'll talk about the rules in just a second. But, Nekra, I'm happy to be here with you as well.
I'm super excited about today. We had a qualifying tournament where we found 4 players after a free-for-all bonanza to bring us into the tournament for the Protect the Kings today. And so those 4 players are, in no particular order, Hayden, Credit, Gaston, and Kaiju. And I'm really excited because they're super excited about playing with some of the Philadelphia Fusion players.
Yeah, the actual players from the Overwatch League team, the #1 Overwatch League team, in my opinion, the Philadelphia Fusion. Let's talk about the format here, so we know exactly how this is going to go. This is going to be a little different. So, first off, we're going to have 2 teams have 10 minutes to eliminate each other's kings as many times as possible. So those names that you just said, Nekra, those are going to be the kings in all of those pairs. So every time they die, it's a point for the other team. No restrictions on the comp, so anything goes. And after the group stage, the 2 teams with the best records move on to the finals. So this is going to be a round-robin format. Everyone's going to be facing everybody, and when we get to the end, if there's a tie, it'll come down to king kills. But overall, what's really cool here, too, is the fact that those kings are going to be playing with some of the kings of Overwatch themselves. So Hayden's going to be playing with Carpe and Chipsa. We've got Credit playing with Astro and Alarm, Fury and EQO playing with Kaiju, and Gaston playing with Poco and Sato. So it is going to be a really, really awesome day, and we're going to get to learn a little bit more about one of our kings, Kaiju, right now.
My name is Hayden, and my battle tag is Hayden RHN. I'm from Georgia, and the heroes I main are Lucio and Ana. I have a peak SR of 43.99 on support.
Killing Hayden on a rampage too already.
I'm a Fusion fan because the Fusion have some of the most talented and flashy players in all of Overwatch League, and they're very entertaining to watch. I've played with Overwatch League pros before in my competitive matches. They're definitely the most fun to play with because they always try their best to win. My strategy going into the Protect the King tournament is to play heroes with high mobility and high survivability so I can stay alive. I think I'll come out on top because my teammates won't have to spend as much time protecting me and can instead focus on attacking the enemy's king. I'm so excited to play with the Fusion players, and I think it'll be fun.
So this is going to be Hayden playing with Carpe and Chipsa, 2 of the damage dealers for the Philadelphia Fusion. And before we were talking about this, Boopasaurus, you had your money on this team in particular for taking it all home.
I sure did. I mean, I'm just pretty excited that we get to see Chipsa play for the Philadelphia Fusion today. That's going to be a really exciting moment. And of course, you got Carpe, in my opinion, the MVP on the other side too. So I mean, if there are going to be 2 bodyguards for me as king, those 2 might be good ones, because I think Chipsa can get the mental game going, right? Can get in your head while Carpe finishes it off with that headshot. I've got my money on them. What about you though? We got to meet Hayden just then, but is there anyone else that's kind of piquing your interest?
Yeah, I actually think that there's some really interesting compositions here, because you've got, Carpe and Chipsa who are playing with Hayden that are both damage dealers, and then you have Astro and Alarm that are both supports that are going to be playing with Credit. And if it's about protecting the king, then, you can pump so much healing into just one player in terms of, making sure and also keeping them protected by, popping off on Zenyatta or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of these different players and teams and compositions kind of interact with each other. But we have another player that we want to hear from, and this time it is going to be Kaiju. Let's take a look.
My name is Jalen, and my battle tag is Kaiju. The hero that I main is Genji since the beta, and my SR right now is 2600.
Kaiju pulls that one ahead. He's in 3rd place now.
I'm a big Fusion fan because pretty much it's my hometown team. It's just really fun to see them have fun in the game. My strategy for the tournament, we probably play something smart. or we're just gonna go very aggro and aggressive. What do I think that I will be the top king in the tournament? Well, number one, I played the game for a very long time since beta, and I know how to play cool. But I am the best. I am super excited to play.
So that was Kaiju playing with Fury and EQO for their team. Kaiju the king in this composition, and I'm really excited because we might get a chance to see some more Genji play if we haven't seen enough of it in the meta already.
Oh man, speaking of meta, there isn't a defined meta for something like this, right? So,
No.
something that we also have to think about is, are we even going to see, someone like EQO play that Genji? Is it going to be better to play something like Roadhog just to get those easy picks instead? Because, something that we got to see in some of the Tier 2 tournaments recently is Roadhog coming online, and I'm wondering if some of our Owl players are prepping for that patch coming up. So we might be seeing some of the Hog, but there's also some opportunities for snipers too. So in terms of strategy, there's a couple different ways that you can go, but which direction would you go, Necra? I think that's the most important question for me right now.
I feel like I have to go with something that's really balanced. One damage dealer, one support, and then one tank to maybe kind of cover all of the bases. And you can play a little bit selfishly there with a lot of heroes that end up using some, self-healing opportunities. Like you have Roadhogs take a breather. You also have the ability to kind of regain armor if you're playing Zenyatta. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of just, keep yourself afloat. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm probably going to see some Ana as well. That Nano can definitely get a lot of kills, can protect yourself too with that grenade. Honestly, one of the better 1v1s if you hit your shots, right? So it's all about if you hit your shots, of course you're going to win your 1v1 forehead. And from here on out, we're going to call Take a Breather his vape, because I think that's hilarious. So let's see if that vape is going to give him that extra beef, that extra money in order to, both protect his king and get rid of the other one, because that is the risk with Roadhog. If you do not get that initial kill, you've brought someone very, very close to your king potentially, and this is going to be a potentially like rock paper scissors situation where we see a lot of different team comps where people are just switching and countering and doing everything, like just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, I've got to throw everything in the kitchen sink sometimes to figure that out. But, there's another strategy that you could go with. Rather than going with something a little bit more well-rounded, you could also go for something that's really high pick potential. So Roadhog definitely fits into that category, as well as the snipers that you talked about. So I'm really excited to get into our very first game of the day. It is going to be Team Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden versus Team Fury, EQO, and Kaiju to kick things off.
So Hayden was our #1 qualifier. Kaiju did just sneak in here in the 4th place. So, and there is a little bit of an SR difference there, as we've already got a couple picks going onto Chipsa this time, as Kaiju takes down the Overwatch League DPS player Chipsa, Necra.
Oh, this is super exciting. You can see Kaiju's going to be playing the Wrecking Ball here, and that's going to be a really great way to just bowl over players and hit some strikes. But you got to be really careful, because Kaiju and Hayden are both going to be playing these Wrecking Ball choices. High mobility here as they roll around the map.
Yeah, it doesn't come pick me.
I'm actually wondering if any of our kings are going to play Sombra and just like run around and try not to get found. That actually might be a legitimate strategy, but we're not going to be seeing that right now. I mean, what is the last time that you got to see two Wrecking Balls just kind of slap each other in the face like that?
It's not been a while. It's been quite some time, but it's really fun to kind of watch them roll around the map a little bit, and you can also see how there's this double sniper strategy coming in from both teams. Although EQO is going to be switching it up to that classic Genji choice.
Right now, Team 1's got that top score 2-0 right now, and the Kings are actually doing quite a good job staying away from a danger. Chipsa, though, not doing the same job for himself. He's getting bullied just a little bit, as our King also getting into the action, taking down Kaiju, so that's 3 now for Team 1.
Yeah, you can see the scores are going to update right below those team compositions for you. So if you want to keep your eyes on the action, well, don't worry, we'll also get you covered with the scores as well, as we do have another kill coming through onto Kaiju, taking a 3-0 lead right now. But Hayden takes out both of the protection, leaving Chipsa to get the cleanup onto Kaiju.
Oh my goodness, this Wrecking Ball parkour on this map is absolutely hilarious to watch. It's not something you see every day, folks. As these snipers trying their best to get those picks, and you're hearing that frustration as well as a King, the only one remaining on red side right now, but is able to stay alive, but he might be getting knocked off here soon, Necra.
Yeah, might be so close to the edge. Might just so close to falling off, but will be able to make it through as Fury has these long-range sights to deal with some of this damage. Gets a nice headshot onto Hayden, which is enough for Kaiju to finish them off.
As they scream in fear as the dragons come crawling out. Those dragons aren't going to be doing much for these Wrecking Balls, as they're going to be able to get away, no problem. As I speak too soon, it's Kaiju, who has been almost impossible to tag out of here so far. After a little bit of a lead was developed, finally does go down, but this lead for Hayden right now is pretty nasty.
Yeah, you can see that the Wrecking Ball mines are going to force Kaiju away from the battle, as now, look at this strategy that Carpe has come up with to be able to deal with Fury's protection.
Fury's protection. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so crazy when you think about the fact that there's someone purging and just protecting someone, chasing after a Wrecking Ball. What a great and easy way to lead someone through someone's sights. And I think you could probably do a really good job in terms of communication, leading them through. But right now, I mean, this lead is looking a little insurmountable as we're about a quarter of the way through that time bank. Red team seems to be struggling just a little bit. Chipsa does die a lot, but Carpe is seeming to pull up the weight a little bit.
Yeah, Chipsa. I was wondering whether or not Chipsa was gonna feed or not. Not playing Doomfist, so I don't know. We'll let the jury speak on that one. But Hayden has found the Mega and will be rolling around to the Mini as well, as it almost ground pound right off the map.
They're going to use those as shields to try to stay alive as Kaiju falls one more time. They're going to have to try to find a little bit of momentum, and here we go. We actually do have the first Roadhog coming through. So Kaiju trying to be the damage dealer himself, trying to go after the King rather than protect himself. This is kind of an all aggression, all forces toward the opponent's King, and I think that's a great idea, seeing how behind they are right now.
Yeah, I really like the strategy switch up here from Team Kaiju. Kaiju switching over to that Roadhog, but Carpe is just charging ult so fast off of this Roadhog.
But not for long, as Fury's going to take him down while he's a little bit distracted, Necra. But the score is 9-2. It does not seem that Kaiju, no matter how good he is on getting himself to safety, Carpe is there just chasing after him. It's like, oh my goodness, it's like when your mom wanted you to wash your hands in the house and just chased you all over the house. It's like, you gotta get ready for dinner, son. I mean, Kaiju might be getting ready for dinner here very soon.
Maybe be dinner, actually, in terms of getting cooked a little bit, but actually it's gonna be EQO that gets cooked by Carpe's Bastion. Interesting choice now coming through, very stationary form of support.
So as we witness this Overwatch League level of play here on this Protect the King, something we also have to mention is everyone came here again through a qualifying process with that FFA. Kaiju was fourth, Hayden was first, so Hayden is definitely the favorite here, as you're seeing it right now. In terms of what Kaiju can do, I don't think playing the Roadhog here, it's literally saying, hey guys, I'm really tanky, but also cannot run away. So please come after me. It's kind of like what that feels like to me, as Fury going to be using that ultimate, maybe just to draw out some attention, funnel out maybe the King, because right now Hayden's doing a really good job on the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, Hayden's Wrecking Ball has been really fun to watch, and especially when you take a look at how their rollouts have been, and just kind of look at that, the boop off the edge. Kaiju goes down again to playing on the edge.
I mean, he said he was confident and a risk taker, right? So this is definitely one of those risks. Now the whole hog is out. This is actually one of the more vulnerable times, as he's just going to walk through the mines in this bed.
Oh no, I like the Orisa choice though from Fury to try to protect Kaiju a little bit more, but they've got to stick together. I don't see that deployable shield helping out Kaiju anytime soon, as EQO is going to switch over to the Zenyatta to keep this orb of healing on Kaiju at all times.
They're going to be doing a little bit more of a support approach, but the Dragon Blade's going to mean that it's going to be really, really hard to do that for us. EQO will fall. Chipsa is sliced and dies, and he wants some honey-baked ham, and he's going to get some tonight.
I think that's more of a spiral cut, if you ask me.
Oh!
Kind of, that's my favorite,
like,
but you know.
Old, like TV infomercials with like the crazy gadgets with that one lady with the red hair. Like, oh man, I used to love watching those as a child. But right now, Kaiju keeps watching his team and his own life and the score run away from him as Carpe now switching over to the Hog. And remember on this map, there's going to be some environmental kill possibilities as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've already seen some of those environmental kills come through as Hayden has been knocking bodies off the map into the pit as well as just off the edge. And I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You can see the Hulk come through. But how are they going to get up there now?
Yeah, Hulk basically is just non-existent at this point after that nerf. Is Carpe going to miss?
Yeah. 7 to 4
and Lucio
meters.
Yeah, that Lucio Roadhog 1v1. One for the ages. Definitely one of my top 10 least favorite anime battles. As Chipsa, though, going to take down the Orisa as well.
Yeah, now Chipsa gets to go after the King, but a nice hook Hulk combo is going to be able to take Chipsa down right out of the ultimate. So Kaiju is going to be able to live to take another vape, if you will. So now here comes the Chipsa Junkrat, though.
Live to take another vape. Words in that order I never thought I'd hear in an Overwatch broadcast. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, as the vaping continues now for Kaiju and Carpe. Carpe actually gonna, man, look at that ultimate charge just burst right up thanks to that vape, you know? And then we've also got the Lucio chasing after people. EQ on this Lucio means, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of accuracy, but the power of music might not be enough.
Oh my goodness, you can see the speed of sound. So there's the Song of Speed trying to chase this Wrecking Ball away from the fray, but Hayden's just too slippery, too fast, can't catch him.
Yeah, too slippery. With 1 minute remaining, this is definitely looking way out of reach right now for Kaiju. But this is a nice little warm-up round. Remember, it's a round robin. You're going to get another chance as getting headshot by Chipsa and Carpe is a little bit like a rite of passage. Not many of we can't say that, right? And now they can. They're getting to play with these awesome players. Regardless of the result, it's going to be such a cool experience. And as we break it down to the last 30 seconds, Necra, how's this going? How are you feeling about the format and everything? This is fun.
This format's super, super fun, and you can see that the score for the last 30 seconds is going to be 20-6, so unless a miracle happens here for Kaiju's team, as Kaiju goes off the edge again from a nice whole hog placed by Carpe, then I think this is going to be all she wrote. I think Hayden's going to walk away with this first round robin.
I totally agree, and the fact that they got so many king kills too is like if they do end up in a tie, in a tie-breaking scenario, that's actually going to be really good news for them as Hayden stuck on this Wrecking Ball the entire time, and that's going to be a victory for the King Hayden. So Hayden's going to reign supreme, and Kaiju is going to have to be a squire for at least a little while longer until that next match.
Oh, Chipsa gets to play the game though, so you know there's something to be said about the protection coming through for Hayden's team. Carpe and Chipsa definitely pulling their weight with this one in terms of helping out and making sure that Hayden can really go after those kills.
Sometimes the best defense, Necra, is a good offense. A great man once said in a sports ball scenario, I'm sure at one point in time in the history of the world.
Hayden said that in his interview too, actually.
Oh, did he? Oh, maybe it was him. And so, yeah, Hayden, absolutely dominant performance, and it's nice to see Chipsa and Carpe working together on the field, and it's going to be a little while longer before Fury and EQO and Kaiju can try to make up a little bit of that deficit, but I think Carpe and Chipsa really setting the pace here. Very aggressive type of comp, and they're like, all right, Hayden, all you got to do is keep on a rolling. Right? Do that marble racing cosplay, just perpetual motion on that Wrecking Ball, you know? That's all you needed to do. And once Kaiju kind of, I think, figured out, all right, maybe this Wrecking Ball's not working for me. Let me try to get some kills myself. Let me bring the Wrecking Ball to me. That was actually probably where they actually got a couple more points, but it was too little too late at that point.
Yeah, I really did like the strategy of going with the Orisa and the Roadhog. Even though the Orisa hull did get nerfed from 7 to 4 meters, you can still see how the deployable barrier was really helpful in keeping Kaiju alive. And also they were able to kind of just bunker down into a single position where it made it much trickier for the team of Haydens to actually get to them. So you had to use a lot of your mobility cooldowns in order to actually get to the king. Exactly.
And it's just so funny how the character selections came out, right? We were like, oh, is there going to be Roadhog? Is there going to be this? Is there going to be that? But what ended up happening was just a good old game of tag, right? So we do have some replays to look at to highlight some of what we saw in that round, because we actually got to see a couple really nice headshots, some good Roadhog hooks. But right now we're looking at the MVP according to the game, the player of the game, the play of the game here, is they're going to take down the King. But Necra, what was the most impressive thing for you here in this little bit of a format? I think Hayden only dying like 6-7 times is really impressive going up against 2 Owl level players.
Yeah, it really is impressive. I think that speaks a lot to the mobility that Hayden was talking about in his interview in terms of wanting to play higher mobility heroes that are going to be trickier to catch. And I think that's where Kaiju ended up actually adjusting their strategy. Going for the Roadhog meant that you're able to kind of pin that Wrecking Ball into one place, which makes it a lot easier to be able to hit. But you could also see how Carpe and Chipsa were actually adjusting their strategy a lot to play around that kind of mobility as well.
That McCree highlight, guys. You didn't have to do that to him. You didn't have to do
Poor
that
Fury.
to him, guys. I know, he's got feelings. But no, sometimes you just gotta highlight, these players that are so good all of the time, they also can stare at a wall during a Deadeye. It's the only thing I can hit when I play McCree. So I mad respect to Fury there. We're seeing Hayden running around, and I wonder if this King right here plays some Wrecking Ball, because the control with that ball, I mean, that ball control was pretty spot on.
Pretty spot on for sure. And I would say that maybe Hayden does a little bit. They did mention that they were a Lucio and an Ana main, so might be familiar with actually having to play with some Wrecking Balls of their own. So I don't know. We'll get a chance to see them a little bit later on, but we have another trio that's going to be taking the field. The very first team up is going to be Astro, Alarm, and Credit. That's going to be one of the teams that we're going to get a chance to feature for this next match. And I'm looking forward to this one, because this is the team that I said this one might be a doozy for the rest of the field, because 2 support players on the team. Yeah,
also, Credit is a very punnable name, so everyone get ready. The cringe will be there, but let's learn a little bit more about Credit and our new King.
Hi, my name's Carlton, but in-game I go by Credit. I live in the suburbs around 45 minutes west of Philly. I would mainly use McCree, Widowmaker, and the most fun hero of all, Lucio. And my peak SR was just over 3,000.
Credit finds another kill, looking for a second on the Reaper, flicks over.
Now the reason why I'm a Fusion fan is obviously because they're my home team, but also because of the humility Fusion has to come down to our level and play with their fans. I have a few fun ideas for a strategy going into the tournament. In the past, we've seen the adaptability of the Fusion team. Couple that with my adaptability, and there you go. That's infinite, raw power. I'm extremely excited to participate in this awesome tournament. But most importantly, I hope that you all enjoy watching.
Infinite raw power. I like it.
Okay.
I like this
Get
confidence.
this kid a job. Get him in front of some people, man. When I was his age, I was talking about, what was I talking about? Like Cartoon Network. Like the food I was eating, how I was failing chemistry at the time, most likely. Had to go to summer school for that, guys. Remember to do your homework. But yeah, man, get that. That was very impressive. So Credit, color me a fan. But yeah, he's going to be with Astro and Alarm, finished 3rd in that FFA to qualify. And it's going to be, again, very interesting to see if we're going to see 2 supports. But now, if you're a Disney fan, this next King might be one that you're going to be rooting for in combination with Poco and Sato. We've got Gaston.
Hello, my name is Billy, and I go by Gaston in Overwatch. So I'm nearby to Allentown, about an hour north of Philly. I play a ton of Tracer, Ana, Pharah. My best I got to was around 3800 SR.
Gaston on the Tracer wreaking havoc as ever.
What's not to love about Fusion? They've got the best players in the league. They've got the best colors. No one likes us, and we don't care. So I've thought up a few compositions that, we could run, some cheese strategies if they're into it, but I'm going to rely on the pros to tell me kind of what they want to run, and it's about having fun with them, so we'll do do our best. Am I excited? Of course I'm excited. I get to play with Fusion. I mean, at best, I'm going to win alongside some of their players, and at worst, I'm just going to be some sort of target practice for them, so easy win.
All right, Sato, Poco, and Gaston. Super excited about this trio as well, and we're going to get a chance to see them in action very shortly. What are your thoughts, Bupasaurus? What are you thinking about this tank, and Gaston approach?
Well, I think maybe we can get the beefy boys out here, right? Let's get two breads made out of beef. Right, put them together to protect that king. Let's get those tanks. I want to see Poco play Diva just because that's always really, really fun. And a lot of these
So
FFA
fun.
maps have some really good opportunities for self-destructs. But again, I wonder if anyone's going to be mean enough to the entire world to literally just play Sombra and like stay in one place the whole time, right? It's like hiding it, or even just like don't even engage with the other enemy, right? Because you can always depend on the pros on each side of you to try to get those points. I don't really think the king needs to be looking after picks themselves. I think the best opportunity for them is to kind of just continue to run just like Hayden did. And I think that's a big reason why Kaiju fell behind, was because Kaiju was trying to participate in those kills. And I think the role of the king is to stay safe, right? Stay in that little Pope mobile that your Owl players have made for you.
Well, I wonder if Credit has some of those cheese strats up their sleeves. They mentioned some whiffs of some stinkiness that might come through for some of their games, and would love to see whether or not a Sombra strategy is part of that, because that's definitely a way to kind of keep the pros on their toes to try to find you. So, really excited about that one. Keep the pros on their toes.
Yeah, and there's also going to be, they're not all just playing for nothing, my friends. This is a $1,000 prize pool, so the first place team is going to get $500. That's not nothing to scrounge at, man. Especially nowadays,
Yeah.
it's rent money. It's a ton of other things. It's money that you didn't have, and when you're still living at home, and maybe you get to spend that money on some fun stuff too, that can be really, really exciting. So you gotta give it up. You gotta give your all.
That's more fusion gear. When I hear the moolah, I think of fusion gear, right? I mean, come on, you gotta rep the. I mean, they all had jerseys, so like, what am I saying? But
orange is the best color. Orange is the best color. It's so
color.
underrated. It doesn't just mean safety. It's also just like a wonderful thing that Philadelphia Fusion have brought. And I've been a fan of the Fusion for so long. So one of the questions I actually really liked in those packages is, why are you a Fusion fan, Necra?
I'm a Fusion fan, not just because it is a part of where I live now, but it's because they have the best players. I mean, come on, back me up here, Chad. Fusion has the best players in the entire league. They have fun personalities, they're really great at what they do, and it's always a treat to watch them play. And now I'm going to throw that question right back at you, Bupasaurus. Why are you a Fusion fan?
So this is a little bit of a story. So when Overwatch League first came out, there was no Denver team, and that's where I'm located. And I'm originally from the East Coast, and I was like, looking for a team. And then I finally watched the very first Fusion game, and that was like the little Rapscallion crew back in like season 1, right? Like where it just kind of looked like a bunch of people just kind of like walked in and were like, here's your team. And I just love that about them. And I think what Credit said in his thing is that humility, right? They've always had that kind of humility. They've always been really good about interacting with their fans. Anyone could be a fan of the Fusion. I think that's one of the most wonderful things. And then, of course, when I got to cast contenders and got to cast over Fusion University's, I think I got to cast about 14 or 15 of their wins before they ended up losing to Mayhem Academy a little bit later on. But through like their tier 2 support, through their performance, through some of the players in their tier 2 team, like getting to cast Larm was one of the greatest things I got to do as a caster when he was in contenders, when he wasn't old enough yet to go to Owl. And that's why it's the gameplay, it's the people, it's the personalities, it's everything. And it's really, I'm originally from the East Coast, and I feel like as a DC boy, Philly is kind of the next best thing when it comes to support there for the East Coast.
I love it. I love the answer. And it's also really nice to remember that Alarm did come from the Fusion Academy roster. Because, like, that's always so fun to think about how those players have developed on their journeys. And we're about to see some more of those players in action. Let's get right into the very next round robin game, which is going to be Astro Alarm and Credit versus Sato, Poco, and Gaston. So I'm looking at Gaston and I'm looking at Credit as the kings for these next matches.
All right, so it looks like for now we're just going to get the lay of the land right now. We do have Poco and Sato on that 76, and Anna Gaston is going to be on the wrecking ball. Credit though, going to not take the avoid and run away approach, but be a little bit more interactive, be a little bit more intentional about how he's going to play at this game. But Funny Astro and Alarm are going to be going after those two supports as they're just poking each other right now. Will Funny Astro be able to get a pick if he just continues seeing the power of music?
Oh, there it is! I was wondering when it was going to come through. Sato ended up getting really low, but that looks like the go button for Funny Astro and friends to go in and get in, but the sleep comes through!
Sleep comes through, but not before the environmental kill comes through. Necros. Funny Astro gonna be showing us why we know his name, making a name for himself on that Lucio, all through contenders and all through Overwatch League, as well as Alarm gonna also use that Nano. So this is gonna be the unkillable Roadhog versus the unchaseable Gaston. It is 1-0 so far for Team 2.
You, nice sleep coming in from Poco just to be able to stop some of that aggression coming through. But, oh, it looks like Gaston might be a little bit stuck.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh man, it seems like the little bit of a lead is going to get brought, as well as another move kill from the Funny Astro. Maybe Lucio here is the secret weapon when it comes to keeping Credit the king. Extra credit indeed.
That's an A+ for me right there. That's for sure. Sato's gonna go in, and here comes the sound barrier as a response to this nano boosted Reaper in your back line. Sato is going to be antied though. It gets really, really low, but not before they are able to try to get their Death Blossom online for this next engage.
Speaking of anti, this is going to be something that you probably will see in Overwatch League here soon. It's going to be that Anna anti-ing that Roadhog. And the Protect the Roadhog right now seems to be doing wonders. Basically, it's just Credit needs to land a hook, and I think Alarm and Funny Astro, even though their supports are going to be able to get those kills, it's going to be a really great option to use a lot of the map because of the speed that Funny Astro provides, especially since Funny Astro doesn't necessarily need to stick with this team because he's searching for those boot kills as well. We've got Alarm with nanos, so if Credit does get in trouble, you can always just nano him, which is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Is the health pack gets stolen before the nano comes through? Sato is able to pick up the back line of Alarm and Funny Astro though, so Credit's gonna be running for the time being.
Alright, Credit now is going to be also put asleep. But look at that support. This is what we were talking about before. He's going to hook Sato down as well. And Credit was asleep, CC'd, but Funny Astro Alarm kept him alive. Remember, the HP that you see on the screen for Roadhog is almost like a suggestion, especially after he uses that vape. When he gets that support, he's pretty much a main tank right now. And we're seeing the effects of those buffs. Even in a scenario like this, as there's about 6.5 minutes left to go. And a 5-1 lead for Team 2.
Yeah, speaking of the buffs for Roadhog, I feel like that's definitely something that's been used to great prowess here. But the thing that I feel like is kind of a hindrance is that Roadhog has a really big hitbox. So you're getting slept often, even though you're also getting nano boosted. It's just kind of happening both ways, where you're getting hit from both sides by Annas.
A little bit of a crossfire setup too. Sato looking for some opportunities, using that Reaper to try to just chew through Credit's health, but right now having a really hard time. It seems like Gaston's team actually having a little bit of an issue coming together, maybe needing to play a little bit more of an intended team comp. Seems like Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm Live really talked about this before coming in here.
Yeah, I feel like both of these teams have kind of talked about it though, because the way that they're kiting around this damage and then waiting for the opportune moment to go in and actually get some kills, I feel like that's been something that the patience is being well executed here, as we're seeing another switch up here. Alarm is going to be switching over to the Orisa, and Sato is on the Echo. I'm super excited to see that.
That's fine.
Well, and the way that the team comp works, or the previous team comp worked for Credit, was they were really good about keeping the lead, not necessarily generating the kills. So now that they are ahead by 3, now might be a little bit of an opportunity to try to extend that lead with the Hulk hook. That shows that Alarm trusts Credit to make something happen. I mean, Credit has killed a couple of the Overwatch League players already, as Sato now is going to be, Sato is going to be switching over to that Echo and then gonna fall before that duplication station can arrive.
Not quite there yet, but Sato should be able to get that duplicate on soon. And what I'm looking for that duplicate is, well, okay, maybe not if they keep getting hooked. But Credit has done a phenomenal job with this Roadhog, and the protection coming through from Funny Astro and Alarm with that Song of Speed, as well as just the halts. I think that's really been enabling this Roadhog.
Oh, Gaston is feeling like a musical right now. It's going to be a 5-7, so this team has actually come back quite a bit. And I don't know if Alarm switching over to the Orisa is exactly the reason why. Sato also very close to that duplicate, but no, a nice return kill going over for Team 2. It's 8-5 right now as Alarm gets a triple kill on the Orisa.
Wow, on the Orisa no less. That's not a hero that you get a chance to see pop off too much, but hey, this is definitely the time for it to shine at the moment, and it's great to be able to see it still being played in tandem with this Roadhog and this Lucio. Gaston just getting stuck between Roadhog in a hard place in that one, so we'll have to kind of group back up for the team of Gaston. And Gaston switching over to the Reaper.
Okay, so I think maybe the time limit coming into play here, trying to get rid of that Orisa, but if you get hooked, you're gonna fall, especially when it's just a 3v3, so a little bit aggressive there. That's the risk you take when you put your king on a DPS.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have to try somehow to be able to protect that king, and I think this is one of the strategies to do so, but I think that it was an interesting duplicate choice by Sato, just because I think that Lucio right at the edge was a great idea for just being able to get a quick group, but again, the way that Credit and Funny Astro and Alarm are playing this game, they're playing so tight-knit, it's very hard to find those openings.
And especially with Alarm, who apparently is a really good Orisa. We're learning today using the superchargers. That also means that Funny Astro is going to be able to push a lot of damage in as well. And you're seeing just the effect of having support versus damage right now. Even though the damage in the end is going to overcome, it took a very long time to actually break through Funny Astro's sound barrier. And I think in terms of the rubber banding here, they're able to come back and get a couple more picks in return. So whatever opening that Gaston, Poco, and Sato did have seems to be closing now that we're approaching the 2-minute warning as a double kill from a Credit. Now that, I said earlier that was an extra credit. That is that's an overachiever right now. That's like valedictorian, 4.5 GPA speaking at graduation on Zoom, I guess, because it's the downtimes.
Well, funny enough, Alarm's actually a pretty good Widowmaker too, so alright, I'm here for this. I'm here for this, Professorus. Not only getting a chance to see them flex onto the Orisa, but also the Widowmaker. Put in some work.
Oh man, when Alarm was in Contenders, when he was on Fusion University, his Zenyatta was nutty when it came to being able to get a lot of damage out. So it makes complete sense that someone that good at Zenyatta with those kinds of mechanics are going to be amazing at the Widowmaker too. But slowly but surely, Gaston and the rest of his crew are coming back, and even though Sato does fall, that's not a point for the king. You have to kill the king, and Poco does bring this back. It's 10-12 now. This is still anyone's game with 1 minute and 17 seconds left.
Yeah, the time bank is slowly whittling away, but with 1 minute left, that's still plenty of time to be able to get some kills, but a nice sound barrier as a reaction to the Death Blossom coming through is going to be able to keep Funny Astro, Credit, and Alarm up and alive. As Sato goes down on the Ana, Poco is trying their best here to be able to bring it back, and that is going to be Gaston taking out Credit. So it's 11-12, Pupasaurus. There's 45 seconds left.
It's 11 to 12. Alarm needs to find the pick onto Gaston. That's probably going to be one of the easiest ways to do it. Funny Astro will get you there, and Alarm finds that first pick on Seda, which means Gaston's going to need to really try to make something happen. With 30 seconds left, you can't really hide if you're the king right now. If you're Gaston, everything is totally different now. You've got to find the kill, and you got to bring this into overtime, as Poco is going to get brought forward, brought back in the credit, also going to get colored purple, and now we've got the nano on the Gaston. You're going to put everything in your king's hand. I love the trust, I love the moxie here, and Gaston will find credit on the other side to even this up. What a comeback, Necra.
It's a huge comeback, and there's still 5 seconds left. It's still anybody's game. It might be a tie, though. If time runs down, that's going to be 3, 2, 1, and that's it.
The last kill! What? At the end means that Team 2 is going to win. Absolutely nutty ending there here. You don't expect that type of hype sometimes with these 3v3s, but we got it, and let us see credit with the king right now. What the play of the game. I wonder how many times you're going to see this tonight. I mean, to get play of the game over 4 other Owl players, I mean, that's something you're going to think about forever.
Goes down a champion.
Awesome. Amazing. Beautiful and worth it.
I love it so much. Just, just yeet yourself off the edge with the whole hog, and I love it. It's what a
it's like a participation award, right? It's like, oh, if you're doing it, let me join too. But man, literally 0.2 seconds remaining on the clock. I didn't quite catch in the kill feed who exactly got that was, but it was probably
that was Alarm. That was Alarm.
Yeah,
that was a Widowmaker headshot.
It had to have been to come in that quickly, and you got to give props to both kings, especially Gaston there, who was behind literally the entire time. But if we had 15 seconds extra, maybe another 30 seconds, he still might be in that game, as that momentum was definitely on Gaston's side. But now that we've gone through every single group from the first round part of the round robin, let's take a look at those standings.
Yeah, I'm super excited about these standings because, as we can remember from the very first match, Hayden had an incredible lead. So we'll take a win alongside Carpe and Chipsa with 21 king eliminations. And then we've got Credit, Astro, and Alarm, and Gaston, Sado, and Poco tied for 13 apiece, where Fury, EQO, and Kaiju are trailing the pack at 12, excuse me. So yeah, I'm really excited about how this is shaken up so far, because it's going to look like a close race between Credit and Gaston based on how close that last game really was.
Well, the thing about round robin that's really interesting here is that we have a confirmed kind of like everyone is looking up at that 21 kill, right? So whenever they go up against Hayden, whenever they go up against Kaiju, there's going to be opportunities there to try to catch up. Say you go up against Hayden and you take them down. Instead, you're going to make sure to take as many kills away from Hayden as possible. So if they're not able to get them on you, you just continue to catch up. But first place right now is right in the hands of Hayden. But I loved the way Gaston and Credit played. You never know what might happen with Kaiju moving forward. You know, a couple more games, you get kind of the feeling of how each other plays, and things might get better for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a weird format to be playing in, and so there's some, unfamiliarity that comes with the territory. So, that's going to be really fun to see how these players progress. And if you guys like what we're doing here, make sure you hit that follow button on the Twitch page so you can keep up to date with everything the Fusion is doing for your wonderful viewers at home. Please hit that like button, and also get ready for the next matchups, because we're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have Team Carpe and Chipsa versus Team Sado and Poco right after this break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Philadelphia Fusion Protect the King tournament. It's already off to a riveting start. I am your host, Necra, joined by my co-host, Boopasaurus, and we've seen some intense gameplay already for some 3v3s.
Yeah, I mean, that last round tightened up in like the last 2 minutes. I feel like Gaston got like 4 or 5 points in a row. Also got the nano on him. I love the trust of the Overwatch League players to put the game in Gaston's hands, and he almost took it away, but Alarm had other plans instead and got one final headshot with like 0.2 seconds remaining on the clock before we got into overtime. So the clutch factor still alive for Alarm. Doesn't have to be in a game like in an Overwatch League playoff game. It can just happen in Protect the King as well. But I mean, the coolest thing about this format is just seeing the interaction between the players and the fans, and seeing all of the support there as well. And honestly, we get to see their cams, and they're having a ton of fun too. A lot of laughing, a lot of playing around, and that's exactly what we want to see.
So this is a really interesting format because last Friday we had an open qualifier hosted by the Nerd Street Gamers, and it was really interesting because the top 4 players from there are the top 4 players that you're getting a chance to see as the Kings to protect for this tournament. Those Kings are Hayden, Credit, Gaston, and Kaiju. The first game that we got a chance to see was between Hayden and Kaiju's teams, and then Credit versus Gaston was the game that we just came off of. But moving into our very next set, we've got Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden versus Team Sato, Poco, and Gaston. So that's not the last that we're going to see of Gaston.
Oh, not at all. We're going to see everyone a couple more times, and as we're waiting for a couple players to connect, the other thing, let's theorycraft why no one's playing Sombra, right? Because that's where my mind went immediately.
You're really stuck
right?
on this, aren't you?
Yeah, there are no hero bans, right? And this person is literally invisible. So maybe it's because it's the map type and it's such close quarters, you're going to have to be on the move all the time. But I feel like the Wrecking Ball and the Sombra kind of do the same thing. Wrecking Ball isn't stealth, so he's going to have a little bit more HP with the shield. And Sombra, you just got to like really make sure you're just not found. Because I guess with Overwatch League players, if they see that Sombra, they're going to be able to take her out of stealth. And the translocator is probably going to be pretty easy to destroy. But still, I think it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think the Sombra choice is a very interesting and unique idea, but the very first round that we were playing on was on Necropolis, but we're going to be moving into Castillo next, so maybe that's going to be where you get a chance to see your Sombra choice come out. But I feel like the meta, as we'll call it, has definitely started to develop over the course of these 10-minute rounds, and it's kind of settled into this Roadhog centric meta where the Kings are playing Roadhog, and then you've got lots of support coming through from the other 2 players on the team to really protect that Roadhog and also enable that Roadhog to get kills onto the enemy team.
So, yeah. So I'm being told that you can see the king through walls, so that's why Sombra would be awful to pick here. I think that's another, that was like a nice little rule set to make sure that you aren't just Sombra and just sitting there. So a nice little forethought there, Philadelphia Fusion. But the Wrecking Ball seemed to be the go-to. The next one's going to be that Roadhog, and then after that, it's been Reaper with Gaston. So we've gotten to see a variety of things run and thrown at these players. But I think my favorite thing so far was the double support from Alarm and Funny Astro. And Funny Astro, I think, started that off with a boop kill, got super aggressive, picked some damage off, used that Song of Speed, got into their faces, got the boop kill, got to play that Lucio the entire time, and had some pretty clutch sound barriers too.
Yeah, and then you saw Alarm switching around the characters just a little bit more often, but we're seeing like the Ana come through to be able to get those beautiful bio nades, and then also just be able to help with keeping everybody alive, and also the sleep darts coming through were pretty clutch at times, being able to sleep the king and put them in a position where you've just anti-nading them and then taking them out. So I think that was a really great strategy coming through, but I feel like the most versatile and the most flexible team of them all has been Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden. Even though Hayden hasn't strayed away from playing Wrecking Ball too much, Carpe and Chipsa have kind of shown us all of the tools at their disposal when it comes to the heroes that they've chosen.
I mean, they're probably like, all right, I'm feeling like playing this person. All right, let's see how this works, right? There didn't seem to be the biggest strategery when it came. I mean, we got to see Hanzo, we got to see a lot of snipers, we saw a bunch of different stuff from them, and you got to give credit to Hayden for being an amazing, being an amazing Wrecking Ball there, and just literally running away from all of the damage. And when things got close, that was where we were like, all right, sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and I think that's what Chipsa and Carpe should be doing. It's the type of plays and players that they are, right? And they're able to make those kinds of plays, and we got to see that during the game. Yeah,
so I'm really excited about getting a chance to see them play just one more time, this time during a this time against a different opponent. So that would be Sato, Poco, and of course Gaston as a part of that lineup. And the two tanks, they didn't actually end up playing two tanks most of the time. We saw Poco play a lot of Ana, which was really exciting, but no Diva. Rats.
No Diva. No Diva. I'm sure it'll come. I mean, they're really. We could talk about strategy as much as we can here, but honestly, it's like all about keeping that king safe. And most of the individual, I think, responsibility relies on the king to play safe. Because I know when I'm playing the game, and especially if that's not usually what you're going for, right? To stay away, you want to stay alive, but to actively avoid like some of the conflict for that much while other things happen is not something I think a lot of these players are used to doing in a lot of their Overwatch games. They're either moving forward and trying to get into the back lines and doing, you know, these regular set plays, but here it's going to be a little bit different. But at the same time, they've got teammates on the other side that they might be able to expect more from than, say, their ladder games on the ladder too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little counterintuitive when you look at it from the perspective of like, I have to stay away rather than be a part of the fight. And so I definitely think that that's going to take a little bit of adjustment too. But for a player like Hayden, who we got a chance to see in their interview, actually gets a chance to play with some of these Overwatch League players as a part of their queue and ranked experience. They did seem fairly comfortable in terms of actually playing with Carpe and Chipsa. So let's go ahead and get into the game, shall we? Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden versus Sato, Poco, and Gaston on the map of Castillo.
Oh, here you got an early kill onto Sato. Oh man, Team 1, very, very early lead. And you know, with Gaston, you can't really ever count him out because that's what happened last time around, and they were able to tie it up with pretty much no time remaining as Hayden getting that wrecking ball once again. This has been very good. And this is what I mean, right? Usually a wrecking ball is going to be going all over the place. This is going to be the most static you really see a wrecking ball is going to be in this type of format. And now that the wrecking ball has to run away, that's when you're going to see the defensive side right now, which is pretty much Team 1, try to reposition and restage. But the vision here is going to be very, very important as they're going to be able to track those kings. And that's going to be very, very good for someone like Carpe, who's playing a character that is very good at chasing down those kills.
Well, here comes the Dragon Strike, and the Pulse Bomb gets thrown in, but nothing gets taken from it. It does force out the Nano Boost from Sato, though, onto Poco to be able to keep them alive through the Dragon Strike. But now they're out of their hidey hole, so what is Team 2 gonna do now? They were able to capture one kill already onto the King of Hayden. Hayden's getting pretty low here, so gotta be careful. And, ooh, that's gonna be another nice kill by Poco.
Yeah, it's going to be 1-1 now, and that's the risk you take by not running a support. That's probably why Sato is on it. That Ana is the Road Hog. Oh, if his feet were just a little stronger, he could have climbed right back up. But a couple more points both sides. This is way closer than any of the other rounds we've seen so far.
Yeah, 2-2 so far, and there's still lots of time left on the clock as Carpe is trying to go in to take out the supports on the side of Team 2. But Sato does finally go down to a Storm Arrow coming through from Chipsa. Now it's just up to getting rid of Gaston.
Oh my god, I think that that FaZe actually got rid of that Pulse Bomb there at the end. The timing there works out as we're still 2-2. Carpe's going to get another Pulse Bomb really, really quickly as Gaston's going to fall. I mean, that's got to be absolutely terrifying to look at. Carpe chasing after you and then eventually taking you down. 3-2 now for Team 1. Oh, there's a tie though now. 3-3.
Yeah, it's like every single time we see a point go one way, a point goes the other way back. So Gaston and Hayden are doing a great job of being team players and also just staying away from danger at the moment. Ooh, nice stick though onto Sato by Carpe. And here comes Poco for the revenge kill onto Carpe.
Gaston did get the nano. Poco gonna use that whole hog, try to get the king away. Oh my goodness, the Wrecking Ball is able to leave just in the nick of time, but he's going to have to find a health pack in order to heal himself up, and those are gonna be pretty easy to find now. He's not really competitive with them. He has the most mobility on the field, but they have to maybe, if you're on Team 2, think about the fact that there is no support on Hayden's side, and maybe think about where those health packs actually are, and that's going to be a really great way to track where the king is.
Yeah, so there's another way that you can track where the king is, and this is actually the reason why I think players aren't playing Sombra, is that there's actually a king logo on top of Gaston and Hayden's head. So no matter where you are in the map, it'll always show you where the king is, not necessarily where the other players are, though. So, I don't know, we'll see, but Poco shaking his head a little bit about that kill onto Carpe.
Yeah, Carpe got hooked and then destroyed. Is Carpe gonna now play a little bit of Pharah? No mercy here, so that Pharah is gonna be naked in the sky, but he's doing a very, very good job right now helping out his team as Carpe gonna get 2 kills, 1 onto Gaston, develop a little bit of a lead. It is now 5-3, but 2 ultimates now for the red side. Team at 2. Is Gaston, though, gonna fall before that death block is going to come through? And man, what are they going to do about this Pharah in the sky? It might be time to switch over to Hitsky, and Sato does just that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the smart switch by Carpe to recognize that there's not really anything that can contest a Pharah in the skies. So you could just go in, use those concussive blasts for lots of movement, and also make sure that you're able to... Oh wait, did that kill come through? It came through! Oh my goodness.
No, you can go ball maybe?
Good defense is a good offense when it comes to Team 1, my friends, as we do get to see Sombra now, and that's going to be one of the biggest counters to any of really the tanks right now, as you see the Sombra, and now Hayden's all of a sudden over on that Roadhog. You're not really going to be able to roll around on those health packs if there's a Sombra on the field.
Okay, wait.
No, if you get hacked, that's a dead wrecking ball for sure. But Chipsa finds Sato. So, wow, that's gonna be a pretty quick takedown there. Sato's not gonna stay on that Sombra for too much longer. Gonna go over to the Lucio now, and I really like this choice as well because I think it's gonna help with the mobility for Gaston and Poco.
Oh, Hayden's going to be the only one alive right now for his team, and he's going to be taken down. It's 7-9 now with 4.5 minutes remaining. That is plenty of time for Gaston to come back, but if you feed a kill like that, it's going to be a lot harder. You don't want to kind of leave it to a nail-biter like it was last time he played, where they almost brought it back, but hey, we're going to take any kills on the King that we can get, as now that Hayden doesn't have a Sombra to deal with, we're going to go back to the ball, which is definitely their best look so far.
Yeah, Hayden's looked really great on the Wrecking Ball, and you can see maybe why Gaston has decided to go over to the Wrecking Ball themselves. Nice hook, though, is going to take Carpe out, and Poco has been getting these hooks left and right, it feels like.
Left, right, up, down, bottom, top. It is coming from every which direction as Carpe now is going to fall. Hayden as well, 9-11. So this 2-point lead seems to be pretty comfy right now for Team 1. Gaston needs to link a couple picks together, as taking down Sato is going to be a very bad way to do that. As Chipsa on this Omega, be close to Blizzard as well. And that's going to be a huge ultimate. It's going to take away almost like a third of this entire stage, and they're going to go ahead and use it right here and right now. As the Blizzard is out, the King will fall. It's 10-12.
Ooh, 10-12, so, you know, it's going to be getting closer and closer. With 3 minutes left on the clock, there's still some time for some kills to come through, as we do see Carpe now switching over to the Sombra, giving that a shot, and with the Sombra and the Mei together, oh my goodness, you're either getting hacked or you're getting frozen. You can't play the game of Overwatch.
And Gaston's on that Wrecking Ball too, and we've already seen how good that Sombra is against Wrecking Ball. Even in this situation, Chips is going to fall, so there's going to be a little bit of an opening to take down Hayden because they don't exactly know where Carpe is. Remember, there are no healers on that team, and with a nice biotic grenade, and then followed up by a huge sleep onto that Sombra. Jesus, Sato might be a tank player, but right now he's cosplaying as a support.
Wow, that was super impressive. That sleep was just like right after the Sombra decloaked. It was just an instant sleep, but that hack as well, the 2 big, beefy tanks. That's going to be easy takedowns for the team of Hayden. And it gives them a 13-11 scoreline with 2 minutes left.
Again, that 2-point lead has been maintained throughout the entirety of this round. Gaston does have proximity in mind. We actually saw in that last fight how important it might be to actually have a support on the team as Poco gets bursted down. So the hook, the enabler for a lot of these kills, is now off the field, at least for a little while longer. And with 3 members, when one goes down, the other ones be become that much more vulnerable as you see Hayden playing a little bit more ring around the rosy with the rest of the team going after those health packs. It'd be crazy to see if there's a stat to see how many health packs Hayden has eaten up throughout this entire round so far. As we're a minute and a half left, still a 2-point lead for Team 1.
Yeah, it's still a 2-point lead, but there's still some time left to be able to make something happen. But it's kind of wild to me that in a minute and a half, there hasn't been any king kills that have come through just yet. So Gaston and Hayden have been doing a great job of staying away, but Gaston, they get caught by the flashbang. Is that going to be disastrous for them?
Not for very much longer. They're going to recover. No problem. We're still got that 2-point lead. Oh no, and the May is going to take down, or help take down, Poco. In the end, Hayden's going to finish off that kill. Another Blizzard's going to keep Hayden pretty safe. As Hayden just kind of stays in that Blizzard, he'll be fine, but you get hooked out of it, you will not. As Poco going to get another point, and we still, whenever Gaston's able to get another point, it seems like the return point is there for Team 1.
Yeah, very good follow-up coming through from both teams to be able to keep the scores relatively even. And now Gaston has decided to switch up their strategy, recognizes that maybe they're not getting quite as much of the kills that they need to with the Wrecking Ball choice. So in the last 30 seconds, has switched over to the Tracer and hoping to get something done in these last 30 seconds to even the score. But as that Bionade comes through onto Gaston, that's going to be another point for Team 1. And 10 seconds remaining, Pupasaurus. It's 15-12.
It's over. That last kill on the Gaston was the nail in the coffin. Even if they were able to kill Hayden because of those respawn timers, I don't think there was enough time to actually get the win there. As Team 1 takes the dub. And Hayden looking very, very strong so far, just expanding the lead.
Yeah, expanding the lead, also getting to play the game. So another King's Pog for this match. And it's going to be the double knockoff there with the Wrecking Ball. Was pretty comfortable getting those environmental kills when we were on Necropolis, but really cool to see them come through on Castillo too.
I actually love the strategy that they used. Hey, you know what? We don't need no supports. We got health packs. No one's really going to be competing. There's not that many people on the field, right? So we're going to have a much better time trying to get that. And when you're already as mobile as that Wrecking Ball is, it's going to be pretty easy to get there. It would have been really, really interesting to see both Wrecking Balls compete over the health packs. That might have changed the balance of the game just a little bit. But the strategy there was pretty spot on. They're like, let's just get rid of the healers. Yeah, we got a healer sometimes, but eventually, you know, we just went back to those DPS characters. We got to see some Echo. We got to see Tiff to play a couple different things. And right now, Hayden is leading the pack, and leading the pack by quite a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be another win for them. And for the win there, that means that, you know, you're looking at a 2-0 score line and also adding on to the 21 king kills that they got in the first game. So that's going to just lengthen their lead ever more, especially if we're going to look at a tie. If that comes through, then you're looking at the number of king kills that actually happen in all of your games. So, you know, hats off to Hayden so far. We still have more of the round robins to go. So that's not all that we've got for you. The next matchup is going to be Team Fury, EQO, and Kaiju versus Team Funny Astro, Alarm, and Credit for our next match.
I like Astro, Alarm, and Credit a lot. And now that we're on a different map type, I wonder if we're going to still see Funny Astro on the Lucio pretty much the entire time. It was actually pretty crazy how much value he got out of some of those sound barriers a little earlier on today, when you can bait someone into thinking that you're going to get the kill and then use the sound barrier to rubber band right back. That's a really good opportunity for you to develop a little bit of a lead and also take away some cooldowns on the other side as well. What about you? Did you like the double support look from Alarm and Astro? Would you rather see Alarm on someone like Widow this time around for a little bit longer?
I really did like the double support look. You know, that was definitely a team that I had my eye on, is like, you can just have two supports, especially high rank supports, really strong supports that are not just going to protect the team, but also do a great job of actually getting kills themselves. You can see that coming through with the Lucio as well as the Ana, and I think that ended up being a huge boon to Credit's game plan, which was just staying on this Roadhog and staying just you just couldn't kill him. You just couldn't kill him. So, I think that definitely lent itself well to the strategy. But there's a lot to be said about Alarm's Widowmaker as well. So, I don't know. I'm just excited to see some great games so far today.
Yeah, there's a lot I would like to say more about Alarm's Widowmaker. I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to be outside of these like special kind of scenarios in these community tournaments. How are we going to see some of these players on off roles and get to enjoy themselves doing that same thing? And again, I've known Alarm for quite a while. I got to cast him in some of his first seasons of Contenders, and it was an absolute pleasure to see not only how someone who started off so good actually grow into one of the best players out there in the short amount of time he was there. And it was all based off of just his like mechanics and just his game sense and his inherent knowledge of everything that was going on. So you can put him on anything probably and find a little bit of capability here on this particular style of play.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that goes for a lot of the players that are in the league, though, and particularly on the Philadelphia Fusion. Like, they are flashy players, and they're very good at their jobs, but they also are very knowledgeable about other roles and other heroes. So I think that's one of the reasons why they end up working so well together, is because they understand all of those roles and they can synergize by that understanding. So I really love getting a chance to see them come out on maybe some of the heroes that they like to play in ranked a little bit more often or something like that. So it's been such a treat so far.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see how these Roadhogs are going to do. I think that's probably like the biggest maybe takeaway that we could come for this, if we have anything to the actual meta, right? Is that Roadhog, there's a theory that Roadhog is your main tank now, or is acting as the main tank, especially with a lot of the tanks that are complementing him right now, like the Zarya can bubble, can protect. Even if he gets naded, it's still not enough a lot of the time. So that's why I think we're seeing a lot of it. Yes, he's really good in general when it comes to FFA or when it comes to these kind of freestyle events, just to get those picks and, again, set up picks for other people if they're unable to confirm it after that first hook. But also, he's in a very, very, very good spot right now. And so that's probably why we're seeing both the Kings and the Owl players use this Roadhog. But so far, the Wrecking Ball has seemed to be the best choice when it comes to being the King.
Well, now, is that because Hayden is playing it? Or is it because that Wrecking Ball is actually the better choice? I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up for me there. I think it has a lot to do with actually Hayden playing the Wrecking Ball, because it's definitely a hero that they look very, very comfortable on. And funnily, just like also seems to really understand the rollouts for each individual map, because it wasn't just on Castillo that he was just gulping up health packs like Pac-Man. It was also on Necropolis as well, where, you know, you were just kind of going after them and then kind of getting rid of the ghosts on the way. So I think that was just been great gameplay so far.
Well, and the other thing we kind of like briefly mentioned too with the Wrecking Ball is if you're trying to chase the Wrecking Ball, right? You're not playing a static character, maybe someone like Widowmaker who's trying to find a perch, but someone who needs to go after the Wrecking Ball, that's another opportunity for the opposing players to take advantage of you, right? If you're so focused on getting to the King, you're not really focused on your environment around you, and that can be where those headshots come out of nowhere from, or why Chips' Hanzo was finding so much value a little bit earlier. I mean, we've gotten to see some galactic dragons so far today, and they're trying to eat, they're trying to get some food, but so far they've not been sated. But the fact that he's been able to find that value just off of raw kind of like aim and getting a lot of those kills and buttering up for, you know, Carpe to get some kills a little bit later is totally working for that team right now. Again, who needs a support when your Wrecking Ball is supporting himself with the headshots, and everyone else is doing enough damage to make sure that it's never really a full set of 3 on the other side.
Yeah, that was something that I think really has lent itself well to Hayden's team strategy too, is that they're all playing some form of just like very heavy damage dealing character. Yes, I'm going to put Wrecking Ball into this category. I understand that he's a tank, but I also think that Wrecking Ball does a stellar job of doing damage. So when you're looking at 3 damage dealers on the same team, they're outputting so much aggression that it's so difficult to actually keep up with that, because they could get really low, but if they're finishing the other team off, then there's no follow-up to be able to actually come through with that. But let's get into the next game, shall we? I'm super excited to see this one. It's Fury EQO Kaiju versus Funny Astro Alarm and Credit.
Kaiju absolutely needs a big round on this one. He's at a pretty large deficit in both in terms of king kills and in terms of the win-loss record. So hopefully in the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to see Kaiju starting to pop off, and he's going to be on the Zarya, just eating some bullets from Credit there. Poor thing. Why are you playing Bastion? That's so mean.
That's so mean! Especially if you have an Orisa next to you too, but Credit said they wanted to try some cheese strats, and what better way than to protect the king than to protect the present, which is what this composition is called, right?
Yeah, it seems like Funny Astro and Alarm are taking, like they legitimately strategized with Credit on how to absolutely do these things, right? They took their time off from their last game to be like, okay, how can we actually create a team comp? And it's totally working. I mean, because when you have the Bastion, you have to get towards the Bastion, right? You have to aggress upon that Bastion, and now that they're able to finally get past those shields, they're finally able to get past Alarm, they get past Credit as well and try to get to that score. But along with another stick and ammo field, though, from Funny Astro, going to keep them locked. Man, this is annoying.
Yeah, the immortality field as well was just so well timed, and when you take a look at how that cooldown needs to be used now in the meta, it's so reactive, right? Especially if you're going to be playing in the free-for-all, I feel like that's kind of mirrors what we're actually seeing in real time, which is just making sure that you're using that pseudo ultimate as a great tool to be able to keep yourself alive from things coming through like one clips.
Alright, so you're going to fall to the pulse bomb every once in a while. Those are probably losses that they're going to have to just assume they're going to take when it comes to getting the king killed. For Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm, but the Supercharger should be a pretty easy way to break through here. But no, Alarm will fall. The Supercharger is still alive. Will Credit be able to get those kills? No kill onto Kaiju, though. There it is, as now it's going to be 7-3. And once again, Credit is off to a very quick start. Will Kaiju be able to come back?
It's gonna be a little tough because like Kaiju has definitely found a way to work around the composition that Credit and friends have developed, but it is gonna be super difficult when you're playing against a Moira and you're that low. You just send an orb right after them.
And this is all about protecting that Bastion. Protect the president, if you will, as we get to see a nice little look of all of the players participating, seeing them all having a great time as those dragons actually do finally find a kill, and the Kaiju will switch off after he does fall. 4-9, a little bit of a comeback could be on the menu here.
Yeah, Kaiju switching over to the Genji, which is one of their favorite and best heroes. And I'm really excited about getting a chance to see this Genji come through because you also have the Winston that's there as support from Fury. And you also have just like very dive-centric composition except EQS, which is over to the Bastion.
Alright, it's going to be... Credit takes himself off of the Bastion. Eco is going to take a little bit of credit this time around by playing the Bastion himself. So will Alarm and Funny Astro be able to help Credit get close enough to the Bastion or fight in an area to make the Bastion useless for the time of being, as the Credit is going to land that hook. It's King versus King right now. Who will reign supreme? Who will rule the land? So far, it is nobody, as Credit and Kaiju still staying alive. Kaiju going to use that bait, get himself very close to the whole hog, and Credit will fall. Kaiju will reign supreme this time. Yeah, a little bit of a comeback going on, but 11 kills very, very early on. 12 now for Team 2. Things might be slipping away, even though Kaiju's getting a couple more kills.
Did you see how Alarm stole that health pack from Kaiju? Just used Fade and just went, I'm yoinking this right now. And that was just like so funny to me. Oh no, poor Kaiju.
Like, they're trying really hard right now, I would suppose, and I kind of love it. I kind of love it. This, like, they have, like, every comp that they've played so far, like, makes sense to me in a way, right? More so than some of the other ones, which is like, okay, we'll just play this for the time being, but we do get another king kill now for Team 1, 7-12. You're going to need a couple more of those, but with 5 minutes remaining, you're going to have enough time to get there, but you have to start making things happen right here and right now. That's why you've got Yuko on that Honda. That's why you've got Fury trying to dive into the back line. But Kaiju, my friend, you've got to stay alive or else you're going to have a hard time staying alive in this competition, because every time Kaiju gets a kill, it seems like there's one coming in from Team 2 just seconds later.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely been kills going back and forth, just like we saw before, and it's kind of like Kaiju and EQO and Fury have actually gotten off on the right foot now that we don't see that Bastion strategy coming through. But is that too little too late at this point, as there is almost double the score on the side of Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm?
We're going to have to find the momentum. We're going to have to find the grit, the heart, the desire from somewhere. And that Primal Raging Monkey is a wonderful way to try to get there himself. But again, the lead's just going to be extended. It seems like, again, every time Kaiju's team, the King, is able to get a kill on one side, there is a return on the other. It seems like Team 2 has maintained a double point advantage so far, and as time continues to waste away for EQO, Fury, and Kaiju, Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm are just getting more and more confident.
Alarm Zenyatta though?
Hey.
Hello? I'm so excited!
Alarm Zenyatta. This is the bread and butter for Alarm. This is where he made a name for himself. He's going to have to think about how he got there by when he's in spawn, just for a little while longer. But again, you cannot underestimate Alarm's Zenyatta. It is pretty much a DPS and a healer. You know, he's all about balance, that yin and yang, right, for Zenyatta as design. And I think Alarm really plays the character to its like thematic equivalent so very well as the lead continues to extend.
Oh, but EQO is going after Alarm right now with this Tracer, and with a nice halt as well. That's going to be a really easy one-clip for EQO to capture. But there's the revenge coming through, as now Alarm is going to be playing the Tracer. Does not want to play Zenyatta into an EQO Tracer.
10-point lead. That's going to be tough, my friends, as Credit sitting pretty right now, like already thinking about what's going to be going on his next match, but that's going to be one of the best opportunities to try to come back into this. But with 2 minutes and 49 seconds, including the death timers, is there even enough time for Kaiju to take the crown back from Credit? That is the real question here, as they're not running the support. They're just going to go ahead and let Kaiju do his own thing, keep him safe, and that's not been the best case scenario so far. I think the support might be required for Team 1 moving on through their last game of today, as Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm are pretty much locked in for the next round. But something I also wanted to say is these team comps, when they are thought out, you've got the MO field for Credit, you've got the self vacancy when it comes to taking that bait, right? So much opportunity and so much more opportunity to do things and enable your teammates for Team 2 than Team 1 has.
Yeah, there's so much sustain on what the composition that Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm are playing, because Alarm can just recall, Credit can just use the take a breather, and like you said, the immortality field as well is just a part of making sure that you can reactively keep the team alive. But I think that's something that, you know, is lacking on the side of EQO, Fury, and Kaiju, is that self-sustainability, especially if you're not going to run a healer.
At 9-22, this is a little bit of a mistake there. This is all about catching up to Hayden's king kill count, and I think this is a really great way to really solidify yourself for an opportunity at the top 2 to try to make it into the final. And again, this is a $1,000 prize pool, $500 going to the winner. That is not chump change, as Kaiju now going to be doing the Hayden strategy, which is I'm just going to run away this entire time. The pulse bomb's going to kill himself, which you know, that doesn't happen every day, but that was, you know, it's good to see that Alarm is human, you know.
Right. Very human indeed. As we do see a hack come through now, because Alarm's going to be playing the Sombra. EQO hits the whole hog, but there's nothing around to really be able to take advantage of that ultimate at the moment. But we do have 40 seconds left, Pupasaurus, and a 23-10 lead for Credit, Funny Astro, and Alarm.
So the question to me is more so, is Team 2 going to be able to get to that 25 bomb instead of just the 23? You got to try to extend the lead as much as possible. Everything's about winning more, setting yourself up for the future. so you can try to get that $500 prize pool. And especially since Credit and Hayden have looked very, very good. Gaston, another one of our kings, have actually had some bad luck losing 2 very close games so far. But these lead extensions that Hayden and Credit have had in the last 2 rounds, I cannot tell you, and I'm going to emphasize one more time how important that is. And it's going to make them the favorites to make it into the final. Were they able to get to that 25? We'll see here at the end. But Team 2 gets a pretty easy victory. Will Kaiju be able to make it up on the last round? And will Credit be able to make the final? That's the question.
Lots of questions to be answered, and we have some answers for you after we see this play of the game, and we take a quick break. But yeah, we've seen some great games so far. I think that there's a lot to still be had, as this is going to be round robin, so every team, every trio needs to play each other at least once. But yeah, looking good so far.
Yeah, 73% kill participation for Funny Astro on that Batiste, and that Immo field, we got to see some jumps there. That melee kill a little earlier on in that round. His Batiste is pretty good, my friends. I mean, that's why he's in the Overwatch League. We got to see Alarm on a little bit of Zenyatta and some DPS as well. And I think maybe the support line is just the most capable to deal with this type of format, right? I think a lot of the times, remember back in the old days of Overwatch where your Zenyatta was your Soldier 76 player?
Yeah.
Right? When like Raucus would flex on 76 every once in a while. There's a reason for that. And the reason for that is the easy transition between Zenyatta is the way you play it, plus the DPS kind of style for someone like 76, or even just the aim involved for someone like Widow. But yeah, I mean, if there's anyone that's going to be able to flex on any type of character to make team comps in this better, it's going to be Alarm.
And that's one of the reasons why you're seeing Credit take such a fantastic lead in that last game. I think that, you know, we have some standings to show you, though, so you could see just exactly how well Credit and Alarm and Funny Astro have been playing this. But that is actually going to put them in the lead so far. If we're going to take a look at the King eliminations that Credit, Alarm, and Funny Astro were able to get in that last game, even though they have 2 wins, which is going to be tied with Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden, that 2 extra kills, like you mentioned, Boopasaurus, is so impactful for who's actually going to have that top spot.
Yeah, and the top spot actually does matter here. They're going to have map choice, I believe, for the first and third map for the finals. And so it's not for nothing. And finishing first is not just bragging rights. There's a strategic advantage to it as well. And it's going to be pretty close, as I believe our 2 finalists have. I don't think anyone can finish ahead of those 2 right now based off of how many games are left. But that doesn't mean the battle for the #1 seed isn't alive and well.
No, the battle for the #1 seed is still alive. We actually get a chance to, after this break, get a chance to see the #1 and #2 seeds battle it out. But, you know, if you've been enjoying the content today, please make sure to like the Twitch page so you can stay up to date for all that the Fusion is bringing to all of you lovely viewers at home. Helps a lot. It means a lot that you guys are with us for this tournament, and hopefully you're interested in more of the content to come. So make sure to smash that like button, smash that follow button, and stay with us as we take us into a quick break. When we come back, Team Fury and EQO versus Team Sato and Poco.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Protect the King, presented by the Philadelphia Fusion. This is a wonderful community tournament that 4 Kings participated in an FFA not too long ago. The top 4 from that FFA are the ones that you're seeing today, and those are our Kings. The format of it today is every time you kill the opponent's King, you get 1 point. This has been a round-robin format so far, and we're on our last round of our round-robin. We do have our top 2 already, but before we get to that final game, it's going to be the King Kaiju versus the King Gaston. Kaiju is going to be with Fury and EQO, and Gaston will be with Poco and Sato. And poor Gaston, man. Poor Gaston has lost 2 games by 2 or less points by this point.
Yeah.
Cannot seem to find the time or the picks necessary to actually get that victory. But now that we're going up against Kaiju, this might be one of our closest matchups so far. So I'm thinking that we might be seeing a pretty high kill count both ways.
Yeah, I would love to see a high kill count game for both teams. It's definitely going to help out to see who's going to secure that third and fourth place because we're playing for a lot of money, Boopasaurus. It's $1,000 prize pool with first place getting $500, second with $250, third with $150, and fourth place with $100. So you're going home with $100 no matter what for just participating in today's tournament.
So I think our little support friends may have inspired some of our friends that we're seeing here today as Gaston and Fury both on the Lucio. Gaston will be the king for Team 2 already. It is 2-2. Kaiju going to be on the Roadhog this time around. And remember, we did just say that this is probably going to be one of the closest matches. I think the kings here, in terms of where they are going to find themselves to be closer in skill than their previous matchup. So this really is anybody's game. It's either going to be like 7-7 or like 15-15, I think, with not much in between. But we are already getting a ton of king kills. Necra Poco already with a whole hog as well.
Yeah, the whole hog going to be coming through very soon as EQO is going to switch up the strategy once again, going over to the McCree. So wants to stop some of this mobility coming through from Gaston and Sado with the Tracer and the Lucio. But Sado still finds their way to take out EQO in the process. So maybe that flashbang's not going to be that impactful in this round.
Unless they get over to Sado, or Sado gets a pretty interactive with Fury, but it's going to be Poco going to take Fury down. And I think on Ego Point, Lucio is a very good idea because, I mean, it's one of the bigger maps for this kind of playstyle, and you got to get onto the high ground. There's so many different directions and different opportunities and openings and huge hooks that you can grab as Poco. Man, you should be pretty proud of yourself for that one.
I would get there for that's one.
So
yeah, I would be pretty proud too, based on what we got a chance to see so far. Is we're seeing hooks and lines and sinkers for some of these kills. It's been pretty great so far.
Oh, for sure. We are going to get to our sound barriers, though. Gaston has developed a little bit of a lead at 6-3, but that is nothing like the score that Kaiju has had to attempt to overcome on the previous last attempts, but you don't want this lead to get any bigger than I think the score. I feel like this is kind of like the pressure point, the breaking point of the sound barrier, going to help Fury stay alive, get back to the team, maybe escort EQO with that Song of Speed to a nice piece of high ground to get a couple more kills.
Yeah, I think the Song of Speed is going to be really important here for both Fury and Gaston to be able to also enable Poco and EQO to kind of get in and get those kills, particularly because Poco has been on fire late in this round here, and has a lot to do with Gaston actually kind of playing protection for Poco in some regards.
Yeah, Poco's hog has been absolutely stellar so far. Has definitely been one of the bright points for Gaston, and one of the bigger reasons why Gaston, who is the king for this side, has been able to be so close in a lot of his previous matchups. But now it's time to actually secure the victories. There's a nice scoreline right now, is 6-9 for Team 1 against Team 2 Necra with about 6.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's still been pretty close though. Like you mentioned, there's not really too much wiggle room between these two teams, and this is definitely going to be a high-scoring game if there's still 6 minutes on the clock, and we've seen 16 king kills come through for this round. There's definitely a lot more to come, and I think that's going to be really indicative of that third and fourth place prize. I have a small correction to make. These players have already won that money. That was the money that they won when they qualified for this tournament, and Fusion's going to be giving out some skins, and I'm super excited for all of these players that they get a chance to just play with these Fusion players, and they also get to rep some of that Fusion swag in-game.
Hell yeah, that's exactly what you wanted to do if you're a Fusion fan. Plus, you get some of those bragging rights as well.
Oh yeah,
the other
mucho bragging
at the end
rights.
Of today, there's only going to be one king remaining as the Tracer's going to be a little too slippery. Kaiju, though, looks like he might get away. No, does fall at the 9-12, though. This is looking like it's going to be a very, very high-scoring round to protect the king. Gaston, though, trying his best to stay away, using that Song of Healing, and again, that Song of Healing tried to leave the danger zone, but that has been impossible for him to do, especially now that EQO has that Deadeye at the ready. Sado doesn't really do much, or Sado doesn't really do much with that blade.
No, not too much. They were able to get 1 kill though because the Fury sound barrier was just a little bit too far away to be able to connect with everybody on the team. But Poco is still coming through with some really impressive hooks, and it's been making it really hard for both of these Kings to stay alive. We actually are seeing EQO and Sato both switch over to the Sombras, so that's going to be super helpful to be able to shut down all of these kits.
Poco's just playing so well. Let's go ahead and just play characters that are notoriously hard to pull and hook. But again, Poco is playing so well. I don't think that matters as the Sombras are going to each get 1 kill, but and they're both going to be against the Kings. 11 to 15 now. Kaiju still in this with 4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining.
Definitely still in this. Gotta be a little bit more slippery, which I think is why they've switched over to the Tracer, because you kind of mentioned, yeah, the Sombra, the Wrecking Ball, these would be great choices just to be able to roll around the map and try to get away, but it's been really helpful for Kaiju because you can just blink away, and that's been super difficult, I feel like, for the team of Gaston, Sato, and Poco, because Sato has even switched over to the McCree for that flashbang potential.
And Poco's now on that Tracer. That's not a look we see every day from him, as Gaston is going to get hacked. This is going to be the biggest opportunity they get, is going to be when that Sombra gets that hack on, so Gaston's not going to be able to roll over those health packs. They're going to have to walk there instead, and he falls. Still, that 4-point lead might be enough with 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. Gaston switching back over to the Roadhog now that Poco isn't playing it. I mean, Kaiju, EQO, and Fury, once again, all playing characters that are pretty rough to hook against with that Roadhog, but that might not be the play here. It might just be to stay alive, using that take a breather to make sure that the other team isn't given any more King kills, as Kaiju gives 1 up. It's now 14 to 18, but no, he falls again. This 4-point lead must not stay for Kaiju.
Definitely looking at how this is going to matter. We're looking at kill differential for these games in terms of tiebreaker. So you want to have the biggest differential and the biggest lead you possibly can. And so I don't know if you're really going to want to just try to run away at this point. You might want to try to lengthen and that divide even further if you can.
15 to 20 now, as Gaston gets a beautiful pick onto Kaiju, but the rest of the team did not let him get away with that, as Fury now onto the Doomfist will fall. That actually is going to be moderately difficult on the McCree, especially if he misses that rocket punch. He's just going to be easy pickings for Sato on McCree. Poco having a little bit of a hard time on the Tracer right now, but it doesn't matter because they've been getting those King kills. So even if they're giving up their lives for it, if their King stays alive and they get the King, right, that is totally worth it. That's the value that you're looking for, as Gaston does fall. And look at the score line, though. Definitely the highest we've seen today in terms of combined score.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few King kills come through, but it's still all about that differential when you're taking a look at how many kills you had over your opposing team. But I love the Fury Doomfist. I can't wait to see how this Meteor Strike gets used, because it's either going to be as kind of an escape button, or you're going to go in and try to smack somebody into the ground. I'm super excited. And Poco's on D.Va!
Needs it. Poco's finally on the D.Va. This is that bread and butter. We did get to see Alarm on Zenyatta a little earlier. And Sato's gonna roll right into the bullseye of that Meteor Strike. Oh no, that is definitely feels bad. But King actually, the King should have turned around and tried to get rid of the Fury there. Maybe throwing that Pulse Bomb out or trying to get that kill might have given him an escape route. But with less than a minute remaining and an insurmountable lead, Sato, Gaston, and Poco's team primed to grab this victory, even though we do get a couple King kills from Kaiju, and I'm glad that we're able to see him get so close to tying this up. But in the end, Sato, Poco, Gaston, my friends, might be too much, but this is starting to fall pretty quickly. I just don't think even with 30 seconds left, there's just enough time on the clock to get a kill, get three kills, get 3 respawns.
Yeah, oh, you gotta have some quick recalls too, so Kaiju's gonna stay really safe here, so at least there isn't going to be too much of that dividing factor coming into play. But Sato, maybe with this ult, not gonna find too much there, but was definitely hoping for Kaiju in those sites to be able to lengthen the score. But 1 second left, and that is it.
Nice.
Team 2.
I love it seeing the player reactions. They're such competitors, no matter what they're
You're not
playing.
trash.
They're going after it. That's that competitive mentality. As this is going to be hilarious to watch as we see a McCree barrel roll right to his death. Oh, right. That's what I do in my games, my friends. It's, it's always good to see, Overwatch League players, be human. We talked about that a little earlier with Alar, but it gives us all hope that, what, they make mistakes. It's okay for us to make mistakes every once in a while.
Except I think we make more mistakes than that, or at least I know I do. So...
Yeah. You sure do. Just kidding. So do I.
Oh, but what great gameplay so far. And now we get a chance to see this next matchup. And I think this is the one that I've been excited for, especially given the score lines that we had going into the last set of games that we had for the round robin, and just coming out of them with like 2 teams that are sitting at 2-0. Now we get a chance to see those 2-2-0 teams go head to head. And that's super exciting to me.
100%. I mean, the 2 best teams so far, the kill differentials for both of these teams are enormous. And I believe Hayden is behind Credit by just 2 king kills. So if Hayden and team win this, actually, whoever wins this will just be the #1 seed. There is not going to be a necessary tiebreaker because of the round robin format that we have going on here. But someone's going to finish undefeated. But again, those king kills are also bragging rights themselves, because you get to go in with that first seed, have a little bit more control of your environment, literally, by picking the map types, but also environment in terms of, all right, this is a final, this is for bragging rights. We get a little bit of, swag if we take the dub here, and being able to control any aspect of that is something that I would prefer as a player. So whoever wins this next round is going to potentially be the favorite going into the final. It's a little bit of a warm up.
Yeah, and it's really nice that for this round robin, we've played on 3 different stages, because it's given players and to the teams a lot of choice and a lot of opportunity to kind of feel out the map and see what kind of strategy they'd really like to use, because we do play on a 10-minute timer. So that's a lot of time to think about the strategy that you would want to use if you played on that map again. And there's a lot that can go into all of the preparation for these next couple of rounds. But I can't wait to get this next game started. But, I am just so thankful to be able to be a part of this broadcast, and thank you so much to everybody that's watching, because this is such a fun format. This is so fun.
Anytime I think Overwatch gets to flex on some of these non-traditional game modes and show the interactivity for the community can be easier if you do it kind of in this way, right? Like, again, I'm assuming that a couple of our kings here are on the younger side, and to be able to play with your heroes like that, to have that opportunity to see people who, hey, I might want to become a professional gamer one day, and that's going to be more of reality as time goes on. I met a parent the other day who quit their job to help their kid pursue esports, which is absolutely insane. And someone coming from the music world, I have to mention that I was a music major, played the tuba, everybody, the Hufflepuff of instruments. I'm very much used to how that kind of support can be a little polarizing, but there are just going to be more opportunities in the future, and to play with people who you look up to, who you want to take their place maybe one day in 5 to 10 years, that is incredibly motivating for you, and to be capable of killing them in a game, to be able to win something along with them, that's just absolutely amazing stuff.
Yeah, I would love to be in their position right now, being able to play with the greats of the Philadelphia Fusion. I'd be losing my mind if I got the opportunity to do that, but we get to cast them, which is just as good. I'm super jealous. I'm gonna be real honest.
Well, you should be, because this is actually super fun, and as a Fusion fan, as you've said, this is definitely something that I think every Fusion fan would really appreciate an opportunity for. And with all of the options that are available. It's not just this, right? You got the traditional gun game, you got traditional FFA, you got Anna paintball. There's just so many things that you can do as a community, kind of cut that barrier of skill to really help each other and play with each other, not just with the pros, but within that community. These types of things are just so wonderful. And so again, amazing to be a part of, like you said. But enough of the kumbaya, Necra, as you know, we got some healthy-hearted competition here. Let's go ahead and just talk about it. We've got Credit and Hayden. Hayden playing Wrecking Ball, I think, almost the entirety of their last round, and Credit playing a little bit of Roadhog and the Wrecking Ball, but both seem to be favoring the Wrecking Ball in general. Might not be as good on Antarctica, but we shall see. What do you thinking our Kings are going to be repping on this next round?
I definitely think that Wrecking Ball could be a choice, but I think Roadhog is also one that would be a really great choice as well. We've seen Poco play quite a bit of that. As you can see the standings on your screen, after that final match that we had, it is going to be Gaston, Sato, and Poco in third, and then Fury, EQO, and Kaiju in fourth. Yes, there were quite a few King kills that came through for Gaston, Sato, and Poco. For a lot of those matches, but even though they were losses, they were so close, if you can remember those games.
It's those games that they were particularly a part of. Hayden has wiped the floor with a couple of their opponents. Like, just think about the fact that Gaston has 10 more kills in one more game, right? So that is going to get beaten at some point, even though they were able to push a ton of King kills on that last round. These top two have they've been hunting. They've been scavenging, right? They've been, picking up debris and smelling it and being like, okay, they're over here. This is where the Wrecking Ball is. Let's pick Sombra, yada, yada, yada. And I think the number one goal here is you want to come out as that first seed, right? Because then if you go to the final, right, you've already checked something off of your list. And again, you want as much control as possible. I can't emphasize that enough. And whatever tournament atmosphere it is, whether it's a rock paper scissors tournament, right, or Protect the King, or even something way more serious, right, you want to control as much as possible, your emotions, your environment, everything. And winning this map is going to be how these teams do that. We're still waiting for them to get into that lobby before we get there, but let's talk about the Kings that will not be making it to that final, as Gaston and Kaiju do not have the capability of surpassing that 2-0 record with anybody here. But I was very impressed with Gaston in particular, and how Kaiju, especially on that last map, was able to show up and get past kind of like that brink there, get to that 14-15 kill level.
Yeah, there were so many kills that came through in that last game that I was really impressed with both players, particularly when you take a look at, Kaiju and having to play against some really dominant DPS like Carpe and Chipsa. It's going to be really difficult to sometimes get through that, but I'm super excited about how Kaiju was able to step it up in that last game. And even though we didn't get a chance to see too much of their signature hero Genji, which I was really looking forward to, we did see a lot of Tracer come through, and it was the Tracer that really impressed me, with being able to just blink away from damage and kite away from all of that, and then also go in and get those final blows.
And so now I feel like we've talked about the teams quite a bit here. So let's just talk about the meta a little bit. I mean, that's kind of what's on everyone's mind here, Necra. We've gotten to cast a little bit of the meta going forward, and we know what the Overwatch League patch is going to be for their final tournaments, and it's going to be a doozy based off of what we casted the last couple of days. You kind of want to break down what we might see when Overwatch League comes back.
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. We got a chance to see a couple of Tier 2 tournaments take place over the last couple of days, and the meta is certainly something else, I gotta say. Lots of Roadhog, lots of Zarya. The Roadhog buff definitely making people feel very invincible on that hero. So definitely looking forward to just how the meta is going to develop at the Overwatch League level. I know it's been a lot of Sombra dive and a lot of really great strategical team play based around those dive mechanics, and it's something that you love to see. But I think this next patch is going to be very, very interesting for a lot of people.
I was talking to OG, an obvious future Overwatch League player. After yesterday when they won the tournament, and basically they're like, honestly, for ladder it's been a little challenging, but for competitive it was a lot more fun that they had expected. So it's nice to see that maybe as we live in this meta a little bit more, just the idea of static shielding and that not being there, meaning that you have a lot more personal responsibility to take care of not only yourself, but to your teammates as well, right? Because everything can just be destroyed by a Roadhog hook. Hey, do you want to res somebody? Well, you're going to get the Zarya bubble, but that's not going to be enough. There's so much damage that still might not be enough to get that res. So there's still a lot of experimentation when it comes to what kinds of things we're looking at in terms of tanks and what kinds of things we're looking at in terms of supports. But damage totally matters now. Every piece of damage is that much more important. Can come in just a second. A lot of snipers too, seeing from yesterday, and a lot of Sombra as well will probably be on the menu. But we're about to get into the game. Enough about the meta. Let's talk about Protect the King. I don't know if we have an actual crown for any of them so far, but I'm really excited. We're in here and we're starting.
Yes, and I have an update for everybody on the stream as well. This is actually going to be just the grand finals. Who needs a deciding match when you know the top two teams that are going to be going at it? So, as we mentioned that they both have 2-0 leads in the match that have netted them both first and second place, we're going straight into the grand finals, and we're kicking things off on Necropolis.
Okay, so this
is a best of 3.
Yeah, this is going to be a best of 3, like you said. Again, like we probably wouldn't want to watch 6 maps in a row, the two of the same team. So we're doing a little bit of a real-time adjustment here. I like the flexibility that the Fusion team has shown us already. Ooh, that came out weird. Is Alarm, Funny Astro, and credit on Team 2. Already going to get that 1-0 lead against Hayden, Carpe, and Chipsa on Team 1. Funny Astro on that map has been absolutely divine, and Credit has done a very good job keeping himself safe. As you can see, there have been no king kills for Team 1.
No king kills yet, except we just saw one come through as Credit does get taken out, so that is going to net one on the board for Hayden's team. Hayden has been taken out twice already, so is trying to stay out of the line of fire, allowing the supports of Carpe and Chipsa to try to take out Credit on the other side. But Hayden's getting very, very low, and there they go as Funny Astro is able to deliver the final blow with the amplification matrix as well.
Oh, this is a very new situation for Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden. I don't think they've been behind in any of their matchups so far, so this is the very first time they're experiencing this. And our kind of theory of Alarm being able to flex on anything, with Funny Astro playing that dedicated support, with Credit playing a very independent type of character with Roadhog, is so important, because even if Funny Astro does not survive, Credit's going to be able to take care of himself. But when things go crazy, Funny Astro is going to be able to take care of Credit. And now, with a 2-point lead, we've seen that 2-point lead almost insurmountable so far in a lot of our other games.
Yeah, well, especially when the skill level is going to be so close, that 2-point lead can feel like a mile when you're taking a look at how close the game actually is. As we see the Sombra come through from Alarm. So really great way to stop this mobility on Hayden, and that way you can get Credit to chunk them down with these shots coming through.
Yeah, these Kings are getting a little bit more confident as time goes on as well. They're getting in with the dirt here, going after them, using themselves as offensive enablers, and Hayden needs to be a little bit better at avoiding this Sombra. I know that's easier said than done, but if he's going to be constantly hacked, he's just going to be an ult battery for everybody else. And Funny Astro still has Square available. That is the window, the amp matrix, if you will. And he's going to get Hayden's going to get hacked before Chips throws those dragons away. 4-1 now for Team 2.
I like that this amplification matrix is being used a little bit selfishly here, because I think that with the compositions that these two teams are running, it's going to be really hard to actually get some type of team synergy behind a singular window, especially when Credit can go play by himself, as well as just Funny Astro and Alarm being able to kind of play hide and seek a little bit. I think you can use that window a little bit more selfishly and find a lot of value from it.
One of the coolest things so far is, compared to the last two games that we witnessed, there just hasn't been as many kills. The team's playing a lot more conservatively, taking a lot more time to make those decisions, because now when they're making their decisions, there's more on the line, right? This is the finals. This is going to be it, as Chipsa gonna knock Funny Astro out of this game for the time of being, but Credit has been, I mean, the hide-and-seek champion so far.
Yeah, Credit has been able to stay out of the line of fire really well, and also using the whole hog, take a breather, and just the rest of the pieces of the kit, like the hook, like super immaculately, which has made it really difficult, I feel like, for Hayden to go in and make a big difference with the Roadhog themselves. But Hayden has switched over to that Roadhog and off of the Wrecking Ball, and now Alarm is also making a change up too, going over to the Orisa, so they will be able to hunker and bunker on this high ground, which is going to make it even more difficult for Hayden's team to approach.
Man, it was like Chipsa was throwing toothpicks over to Credit. I mean, I felt like so many of those arrows hit, but none of it mattered because of Funny Astro. And take a breather, as Credit's going to survive the absolute maelstrom of arrows from the Chipsa, who's going to be back to that Dragon Strike in just a second. That's going to be a really great move for him to dislodge them from this high ground. I mean, you're going to use it pretty quickly. Yeah, he's going to use it right here and right now. Oh, beautiful Immo field, but that's not going to save Credit in at the end. But there's a return kill at least, as this 2-point lead right now seems to be enough.
Yeah, the 2-point lead seems to be really healthy. And, like, as this is a low-scoring game, like, we've already had 6 minutes drained off of the clock, and only 8 king kills have come through. So that's not very many when you take a look at the amount of time that's been eaten away, as well as the number of kills that have come through. So I'm looking at seeing this ratio kind of continue as we move forward in this game. Hayden does get a chance to take out Credit, though, so evening up the score, but now Hayden's got to stay really safe so that they can keep this small lead that they're trying to get back. Oops.
Not sure that was intended, but we take those if your team won. And we're tied up at 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. And I think the reason why we're seeing less kills is because we've got more supports on the field. But Carpe going to take down Funny Astro, which means that Funny Astro is not going to be able to throw that immortality field out to his king. But at least the spawn was pretty nice to Funny Astro and his friends. But he's potentially going to be taken down pretty early on too. It's going to be Funny Astro's healing versus Carpe's healing. Chipsa also has that Dragon Strike available to dislodge them from any type of high ground that they're going to try to get to, as we do get a king kill now for Team 2. 6-5, 2 minutes and 51 seconds left.
There's a really nice collapse coming through as well from the team to be able to take out Hayden, and Hayden's getting low once again, so you got to be kind of careful, but Chipsa has taken out the support, so this might be a great time to hit the go button and try to take out Credit.
Oh, I actually really think Tac Visor here might be a difference maker as well, especially with Chipsa being able to use that jump to get to safety. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's going to be pretty hard when you've got, you got hacks for Alarm. I'm really excited to see where this Tac Visor will end up going. Credit going to fall really quickly though because of that nano. I feel like one of those fortune cookie things when it comes to Overwatch is the hook that lands first will get you killed. Right, the Roadhog that hooks second will get you the win, right? So Credit is going to hook first and then fall. Alarm still needs that Tac Visor, but maybe we actually save the Tac Visor for like when you need it. Like 30 seconds left if we're still tied. Or now.
Oh no, I'm gonna hit the Tac Visor now, I guess.
And he's going to try to look after the king. The ammo field going to help get through that entire cooldown of that tactical visor. Funny Astro does take down Hayden 7-6. That is that lead that they've been looking for. But there's still a minute and a half remaining. Chipsa is falling though as Alarm gets another couple kills. Will Hayden be able to survive?
Yeah, Hayden needs to stay out of the line of fire, but the amplification matrix is going to amplify all of that damage. Nice kite though. to be able to stay out of that line of fire from Hayden and the team. Just, you know, let that ultimate burn out here as Hayden is looking upwards and inwards to try to find these kills, where we do have credit with the high ground advantage.
They're giving all of their hopes and dreams over to Hayden. If you want to win this, you're going to have to do it yourself. But he's going to whole hog the wall instead, do a little bit more construction. But he finds a kill onto Funny Asher, but neither of the Kings have fallen just yet as they tie it up with 50 seconds remaining. Will Alarm be able to find that pot shot onto the head of Hayden? Will Credit and Funny Asher be able to take him down enough to try to increase the lead? Or will Carpe land a beautiful sleep onto Credit and get up at 8-7, 36 seconds remaining. 1 point separating Credit and Hayden right now. The King can be anyone right now, as Hayden and the crew had been behind for the rest of this round, but for the first time so far, they find themselves on the top. Will Credit be able to return that kill? All Hayden needs to do is keep himself safe. I say don't even try to fight at this point, as Funny Asher does.
Freeze actually won.
Yeah, I think you do have to try to keep yourself safe, but Hayden gets so low. The nice sleep, though, coming through from Carpe is going to be able to allow Hayden to get away, but Funny Astro is chasing this kill. There's 2 seconds left. Is that going to be enough? King takes them down, and that is going to be Hayden's team taking the first game. What?
9-7 is the final score. Was behind the entire time, and you're hearing the man himself, Chipsa. Remember, I did say that he was going to win today. I want everyone to remember that I had to take
him specifically, not the King.
No, yeah. But when you have a little bit of an extra opportunity like that, you find yourself ahead by 1 with 30 seconds remaining. All you have to do, the game switches for you, right? Instead of trying to go after kills, it's all about that protecting. It's all about the namesake of this actual game mode. And I think once they hit that level, it was over, right? Once they took that lead with 30 seconds left, they knew what their job was. That's why I was like, maybe we actually save the tag visor if we get behind, or if we need an extra kill with like 30 seconds remaining, might be a good way to pick someone off. But that is not what we saw. No value from that tag visor, but I'm liking the BAP on Funny Astro with the immortality field. It's a nice little reset, especially if your king is about to die. But what happens after, right? Then you're just kind of trying to get a kill yourself, and your healing is there for your king. But once the immortality field is there, amplification matrix is not going to be hyper valuable, especially if the movement is really good on your opponent's side. So we'll see if we're going to keep to Funny Astro's BAP. It definitely has a place in that particular round. I don't think it necessarily worked as well as it could have, mainly because he kept dying, right? He kept using that ammo field for other people, so there was no way that he was able to help himself. And once you get into that BAP space, it can be pretty difficult to survive if you don't take that kill yourself.
Yeah, I was seeing that in a lot of instances that the amplification matrix was being used kind of selfishly, and then at that point, like, it's fine because you're probably the only one that's going to be able to be coordinated enough to actually use it, but that's not necessarily enough follow-up to be able to actually take a king down. So you've got to be very careful when using the amplification matrix for yourself, and then like the follow-up, like you said, you could just kite away from all of that damage like we saw the team do multiple times, and then that amplification matrix wasn't actually used. But to be honest, the biggest impact ultimates that we've gotten a chance to see have been from the tanks or the damage dealers, not necessarily from the supports, except when you take a look at the Lucio sound barriers that we've gotten a chance to see. So I don't know. I think that it's been tough to call, but I would say, like, especially the whole hogs at the edge of the map have netted at least one, maybe 2 environmental kills sometimes, and that's a lot to be able to push that over the edge.
Literally. Did you even do that?
Literally over the edge.
Literally. Yeah, that's the alley-oop for you. But no, I think you're totally right. But the cool thing about this is, whether you're a support, whether you're a tank, whether you're the king, whether you're an Overwatch League player, everyone has the opportunity to shine, right? It's not just one person carrying anybody. Especially, you might think that with less people, there's less teamwork, right? But we actually got to see, especially in how that last game went. I mean, it got pretty close there. I mean, that was pretty intense at the end. I think we all kind of snapped into it, right? When the going got tough with about like 2 minutes to go, and you have to work as a team in that situation. And I think Chipsa and crew, Hayden and his friends, did a much better job understanding kind of like how to win out that late game and like the tempo of this type of game mode versus, Funny Astro and crew on the other side with Credit, which is a little bit more, they played slow at the beginning, and when they had to kind of go for the jugular, they were unable to.
Yeah, that is true. I think it just like the game plan switched a little bit for both of these teams, but the game plan is still protect the king. Let's get into the second and potential match point here for the Philadelphia Fusion. Protect the king. Hayden's team is up with a 1-0 lead, but there's a Mei wall now in play by Alarm.
I love using Mei on this particular FFA map. There's a lot of really great choke points that you're going to be able to use that endothermic blaster on to freeze a couple different people. So if you get them stuck, you throw that wall up, you freeze them, and the rest of the team can try to get a little bit more damage on you, as Hayden's going to start off this time around with the lead. Will Credit be able to come back? Yes, it's just 1 point, but that was enough the last time around. We did get another cheeky kill at the end to finish off with the 2-point lead for Hayden, but it was pretty much within 1 or 2 kills the entirety of that last round, and it's looking like this one's going to be close to as we tie it up 1-1.
This is going to be super, super close, but the big difference maker here is that we have 2 Anas on the field from Funny Astro and Carpe, and, I might have to take back what I said, because these nano boosts have been particularly impactful when you take a look at how these Anas have played. Also, a very reactive tool like the Immortality Field, being able to heal up and also make yourself a little bit more buff when it comes down to it, so I really like that choice coming through from both Carpe and Funny Astro. And Chipsa?
Yeah, Chipsa did that, everybody. Got the dragons. They're full. They're feeling good. A huge hook on that Doomfist. Hayden, my friend, is this an audition? This isn't just a community tournament. This might be an audition for you, as you are showing up on your own throne right now. This is when you're, like when the king goes into battle with you, right? And it's like, let's go, and leads the way. And that's exactly what you want.
Like Game of Thrones.
Oh, just the first 5 to 6 seasons. We don't talk about that. It's okay. We can talk about it instead. 4-2 now. The whole hog is going to get another environmental kill, this time on Hayden. His Credit going to get in on the action. Doesn't want to get upstaged himself.
Yeah, this is tying up the score and making it fairly even though there was a 2-point lead for Hayden's team. Credit's team has been able to make some pretty good work of this scoreline, and I think playing next to the edge is very dangerous territory when you have Roadhogs in the mix, as well as those sweeps coming through from Anas.
Speaking of the sleep, there is this little piggy went to sleep on the high ground here. The nice purple, is that going to be enough? Yes, as Credit falls 5-4.
Like left side, yeah.
Ooh, Carpe's so low! Help Carpe, please!
He's going to help himself. Don't you worry about that. Carpe sometimes don't need no help. That's why he's a true MVP. That's going to clear out the high ground. That's going to give a little bit more safety for Hayden and the rest of his squad. The Kings are going to be looking at each other. Oh, you don't want to hook first, my friends. Oh, maybe that time that ends up helping out as we get a little bit of a comeback opportunity from Credit.
Did you see that flank? That was beautiful from Funny Astro and Alarm. Oh my goodness, they just made sure that Carpe was never going to get away. No matter where he peeked, there was always going to be damage waiting for him, whether it was from the Ana gun or the Zenyatta orbs. That was so clean. And you mentioned that teamwork is such a necessary component of this game. You can see with less members, it's even more important.
You have to give credit to both of these Kings right now. They're both landing some pretty impressive hooks, just in general, throughout the entirety of this round. And the fact that they get to be active in the participation of hunting and taking down the opponent's King means that, one, their teammates trust them, and two, they're trusting themselves, which could be really hard to do in a situation like this when you feel potentially outclassed by those around you. You're in the final, guys. No one is better than you right now. You gotta finish this out, and Hayden is just 1 point away, 5 minutes away from potentially getting the bragging rights and becoming the king of Protect the King today. As Credit, see, this is what I'm talking about. Credit gets in on the action this time around. Now we have a 1 point lead for Team 2.
Yeah, oh, and Hayden goes down again. Now that's a 1-point lead turned into a 2-point lead. And we've seen in some games how 2-point leads can be very hard to come back from. We were in a similar situation, though, in the first game where there was a 2-point lead for Credit's team, but it's just continuing. Credit has Hayden's number right now, and Hayden should be scared.
Oh my.
Yeah, he didn't give out that number either. He found it somehow. As the Nano going to make sure that that's a one-shot kill. Hayden falls one more time, developing a nice little lead, some momentum as well. Funny, Asher, with that, you know, I think that's the ticket when it comes to that Roadhog,
we could go,
especially
like,
especially if the King gets brought in.
Kill that support first.
Ooh, interesting. I'm hearing some comms come through from Chipsa, thinking about a full dive coming through with Carpe's Tracer, but Hayden is continuing to go down. That's a 4-point deficit now for Hayden's team as Credit continues to bring up the score. Now Hayden's going back to basics, though. Doesn't want to play the Roadhog anymore. He's just going to play the Wrecking Ball.
Depend on his team. Now, we talked about the Kings being active this time. Credit is the one that's been the most active here. Is we get another nice score line. Carpe almost gets taken down, but the last time we were on Castillo was with Hayden on the Wrecking Ball with no supports, just getting all of the health packs, ring around the Rosie, and the whole time is Alarm playing Brig in a 3v3. Come on, I mean, I guess they just really want to win. As I think this change from the Wrecking Ball is actually starting to work out, as Hayden has not died since switching over to that character. Carpe and Chipsa have been able to take Credit down.
Yeah, and they're very close to being able to do it again, but Alarm is there for support, even though Brig did get a little bit of a nerf a bit ago. Still a very good hero for playing against the anti-dive. So you gotta give that a lot of credit as well for just being a really smart choice from Alarm to come through.
All right, well, that happened.
Yeah,
Chipsa's going to use the blade and then get absolutely destroyed by the Nano Brig on the other side. Cannot believe we're seeing a Brig right now. That's just bad manners in my opinion. But hey, you know what? Sometimes bad manners are required for a victory. As Hayden going to get out of there with the skin of his teeth. And that's the other thing about the Wrecking Ball that's pretty nice is versus the Roadhog where that purple is going to be really effective against Take a Breather. It's not really that big of a deal to Hayden use those shields a little to combat that the lack of healing, and it's going to be able to get him to that next health pack, but not for much longer as he does fall in the middle of that fight. 7-10. These scores have been on the lower end. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. The last time we were in a similar situation in the last round was Team 1 started their comeback around this time. Is this going to be the same thing as Credit falls? 8-10?
Yeah, I mean, Carpe is playing the Roadhog now, and Chipsa is sticking to this Hanzo, which I really like because it's able to get some quick headshots, especially if Alarm is going to be playing a squishier hero like the McCree. But oh, here comes the hook. Shielding right in the nick of time, though, but Hayden still doesn't get a chance to get away as Funny Astro is going to pick up a triple.
3 points separate Team 1 in overtime. If they're able to get 4 in the next 2 minutes, we will have a champion. Chipsa will become a champion along with Carpe and Hayden as we get a nice little look onto Carpe. Are we going to be able to take him down 12 HP? And this is where that Nano is a little bit more effective, but somehow they do not take down Credit completely. You've got to finish off those kills. Now that 4-point lead is looking pretty mighty to me.
Yeah, oh, Carpe gets slept off the edge. Oh no. Oh, you hate to see it.
The worst kind of nap is one where you fall off, you know, your bed. Right? And that's the even worse right there. You're gonna have to go back to the phone, come back in just a few seconds, 1 minute and 15 seconds remain for a kill. So Carpe and Chipsa really need to make something happen here. Credit needs to make sure that he's just running away, staying safe. It looks like he's doing just that, not really taking a very active approach. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe because now they're feeling confident. They're gonna try to get into their faces. Press W, try to get those hooks. Beautiful sleep going both ways as no actual confirmed kills are going to start. The McCree will be first, Chipsa will be second, and Funny Astro will be on fire. Credit, though, is staying alive, and with less than a minute remaining, Credit should be good to go. Man, Credit really popping off on this hug. Bring that to the ladder, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. This Roadhog's been super impressive, and like while we love watching Hayden's Wrecking Ball play, I feel like the Roadhog difference has really made an impact in this match because the 4-point lead is now, with 30 seconds left, looking insurmountable for the team of Hayden.
And it's so funny because it's like, oh, the Roadhog was so good for credit. Carpe played Roadhog for a hot minute, right? So maybe he can leave today, be like, you know what? I'll play Carpe for 20 seconds on the Roadhog, as the whole hog is going to be all that they need. We're going to go to a round 3 to decide who our champion is going to be, and this is great stuff. Both rounds moderately close. The first round definitely. This third round, though, will be for all of the marbles. Necra is team support versus team DPS, and their kings are going to lay it all on the line on the next round.
Yeah, super exciting. Wow, we're going to a game number 3. I'm really excited about this because it was really close for round 1, but I feel like Credit's team just kind of ran away with the victory on this second map.
They started with a little bit of a deficit too, and once they kind of started understanding their game plan, Credit was able to be, this is like the 8th time I'm going to say it, but to be a part of the offensive capabilities of his team, right? That's something that he was not really doing at any other point because he's just been running around on that wrecking ball. Which is in itself, it's like 2 different sides of 2 legitimate strategies, right? Like the ultra defensive, I'm going to run away, and the offensive version of I'm going to chase and try to get you. But they're both viable, right? And it really depends on which side is doing better. How are you going to make me play your game, right? And I think in that period of time, that Roadhog was like, hey, if I can't get you, my hook will, and we'll bring you right in. And it wasn't just hooking the other king. He was hooking everyone, setting up kills for Funny Astro and Alarm, and that ended up being enough there for that second map. It's all tied up. We're pretty much 0-0 here. Whoever wins this round will be the king.
The king. I don't have a crown to give to the winner, but like, you'll deserve it. So I'm looking forward to that, as we are going to get into our third game very shortly and find a winner. But you're right, Bupasaurus, about there being a difference between offensive play and defensive play, and especially when Hayden ended up kind of falling behind a little bit with that 2 to 3 to 4 point differential. Hayden definitely felt the pressure to actually play a more defensive game, whereas Credit, with that little bit of confidence with the 4 point differential, had a little more pep in their step and were able to kind of get aggressive and go in and really make a difference for their team. And I think that also lends itself to how Credit and Alarm and Funny Astro have actually been playing together as a team. There's clearly a lot of communication there, and you heard it from Credit's interview that they had game plans for what they wanted to do on each of these different maps.
You know, and that's perfectly okay, because, you know, I'm sure Carpe, Chipsa, and Hayden have plans themselves, but Hayden is actually in a very peculiar position because he actually hasn't died neither of these kings have died very often throughout the entirety of today, so it's going to be a little different now that Hayden's in a little bit of a different mindset. Is that going to take him off of his kind of smooth go a bit so far? It is still tied 1-1. This is going to be it, folks, as Hayden will fall, but at least Credit does on the other side too. They're doing a pretty good job on dealing with these Roadhogs. It seems like Anna's the answer.
Yeah, Anna's definitely the answer. With the anti-nades, you deny all of the take a breather healing, which is definitely something that I think Roadhogs are looking at as a very, very quintessential part of their kit. But oh, Hayden, watch out!
Yeah, already used to take a breather. He's going to be hopping around trying to get a little bit more whole hog damage, but he will fall in the end. Team support right now trying to bring their king to the throne. 2 people trying to find the throne, but only one will reign supreme over the land of Philadelphia, my friends, as Alarm and Funny Astro both have their ultimates, and with this self-destruct, that means maybe a free kill or 2, but everyone's going to be able to take a nice bit of cover. This is not the most open map in the entire world. That was more of an extra lab, but even through the nano, Hayden will fall.
Wow. Yeah. through the nano. Hayden does indeed fall. Goes right back to the Wrecking Ball after trying to play some Roadhog and some Reaper. It's the Wrecking Ball that's going to be the most comfortable pick for Hayden. Which begs the question that we were asking before. Is it Hayden playing the Wrecking Ball, or is it the Wrecking Ball that's actually doing the work here for the team composition? And I think I'm landing on it's Hayden's Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, Hayden's Wrecking Ball is a nuisance. It's very, very hard to kill. Definitely a little bit harder than it is to kill the Roadhogs right now. A little bit of that momentum. Is Hayden going to get blasted by some Ana pellets just real quick? Is going to get slept. Is he going to be able to get away with that purple? It doesn't look like he will, as there is going to be a return kill. 2-4 now for Team 2. It is going to be a pretty good go of it so far. They're ahead, and they have had a better time keeping that lead, especially on Castillo, but in that first round, they did blow a little bit of a lead as Hayden is going to go back to the Roadhog. Even though the Wrecking Ball seemed to be working, they were ahead. I don't know why you would change anything at that point in time. Maybe it was because Chipsa and Carpe were switching over. Chipsa now on the Ana, Carpe on the Reaper this time around. The Reaper is going to be a pretty great way of ripping through that Roadhog, but it's actually been a pretty bad, one of the more notorious counters to that Pig, but it seems like Credit, though, is going to try to keep himself and his team on the top. The teammate throwing alarm is going to make it a little bit harder.
Yeah, and then Alarm is getting stuck in a corner. Does get a chance to take out Chipsa and Carpe, though. Very close to getting back into their mech, so that might be a huge boon for them as Hayden's going to take it out one more time. The score line is still very, very close, though, Boopasaurus. It is 5-5 now. Yeah, it's as close to be now.
Yeah, 5-5, as you said, and this is exactly what we expected out of these two teams. They've been playing the best all day, and now the two best teams are here in the final two. Well, reign supreme. The Death Blossom's definitely going to help, but it's not going to be enough. Only one kill there, and a nice leap on to the teleporting Carpe is going to keep him away from this fight, but he's going to press W for even longer. A nice purple, though, makes it interesting, so no life steal for him. He's going to have to try to find a health pack, but it doesn't matter. In the end, as Carpe is going to be able to wipe the team. 6-5 now, Hayden the lead.
Chipsa has a lot of weight on their shoulders because they have to heal up Hayden and Carpe, who are trying to get super aggressive right now to lengthen this lead that they have over Credit's team at the moment. Credit taking a breather, just a little bit of a breath now as Chipsa's the port is gone. So you got Hayden is now on their own, popping this whole hog, and ooh, nice flashbang from Alarm to shut down that ultimate from Carpe.
Hayden's purpled, he's vulnerable. You gotta try to go after these kills, but no! Credit's gonna get pincered, but a huge hook onto Carpe! That's gonna hurt in the morning, my friends, as Credit is gonna give, man, just some asserting of dominance there over to Carpe. Hayden does fall 6-6 now, 5 minutes. It seems like there's about one king kill a minute. Will that be enough, though?
Yeah, there's been really low kills coming through, low eliminations, and that means we're in for a fairly close game. So I'm super excited about the scoreline that's been coming through here. 6-6 now. Make that 6-7 as Credit's gonna pop the whole hog and keep everybody away from that body. Carpe though, with the nano boost, woo, triple.
Yeah, dabbed on him at the end. One of the hardest elbows in all of Overwatch, I might say so myself, as we're here at 7-7. 4.5 minutes. Whoa! As we go on a little bit of a roller coaster ride with that Roadhog hook, but Carpe on this Reaper seems to be the answer, but there's also answers with Alarm on that McCree. We're still tied. This game has been tied longer than it has not. Even if you go back all the way to that first map, this is exactly what we have expected. Alarm now with that Deadeye is actually going to be maybe a reload tool. I don't know how much setup that you're going to be able to get on the high ground with that McCree with only 3 people. And nice hook, too, from Credit. Seems like he knows that timing very, very well. Go! Gets slept, flashbang, and gets his ult canceled. That's not what you want to see if you are Hayden, but it seems like Hayden might live. No, as now a lead has been developed. 9-8 now for Team 2.
9-8, but I feel like that's going to end up coming back to a 9-9 scoreline very, very quickly. We have 3.5 minutes left, so a lot of time to still make plays happen, but these kills haven't been coming in very quickly. Here comes the sleep, though. The stun, the CC effects are there. Hayden goes down again, and what was a close scoreline is now running away from Hayden's team.
But they're still within reach. Even though Team 2 is setting the pace, Team 1 can definitely catch up. We have seen Team 2 relinquish their lead with just seconds remaining already in this tournament. Will that repeat itself? You know, history you're supposed to learn from, but in esports sometimes that does not happen. Is Hayden gonna get a kill onto Alarm? But no king kills just yet. Even though Hayden does find himself on the kill feed, none of that matters unless you get the king. Hogs will be available very quickly for both sides. Already available for Hayden. Beautiful purple from Funny Astro helps Chipsa get taken out, but Hayden stays safe. Ooh, man, they're just jockeying for position right now. Credit is low and is down. Hayden, looking at his health, looks very, very nice right now. 9 to 10. Just one more point to tie, but only 2.5 minutes waiting, right?
2.5 minutes is still quite a bit of time. We've seen maybe a kill come through about every 30 seconds or 45 seconds or so. So it's about time. Ooh, the hook doesn't quite land its mark on the target that they wanted. I think they wanted Credit in that lineup, but that's not going to be who they get. Carpe does take down the supports though, so now they just have to take out Credit, and Credit is running for their life.
But so is Hayden. Hayden was the only one alive, and he's going to be able to walk away, join the rest of the team. The king will survive. Nice headshot from Alarm. The Deadeye is also still there as Hayden's going to fall. 9-11 right now for Team 2. We finally get the Deadeye. It's going to get canceled. That's why I think the Deadeye is going to be a lot better use as a reload tool, as, man, these Annas have really started to enter this battle right now. It's not just about the healing. It's also about the damage. The purple is kind of the jack of all trades right now in this 3v3. Carpe has a Deadeye himself and a minute and a half remaining. This is still within reach for Team 1, especially when you're able to take 2 kills away. Credit is asleep. You got to be able to grab him. The purple is there. So is the stun. And now it is 10 to 11. This is not over, folks. There's more than enough time for Hayden and Carpe and Chips to tie this up and then potentially bring this to overtime.
Yeah, minute left. So there needs to be 2 kills that come through for Hayden to settle the score. Otherwise, there's only a minute left for Credits to continue their reign and take the crown. So we're getting down to the wire, Bupasaurus, with just 60 seconds remaining. This next kill is going to matter a lot.
The nano goes on Hayden, so there's going to be pumping out a lot of damage. Might be a good opportunity to try to get a hook onto Credit, onto the high ground, but Alarm takes down Carpe, so there's going to be a little bit of an opening. I think maybe getting that hook would have been bad news for him in at the end as we get a couple more kills. The King's getting really good at specializing to stay alive. They tend to be the last one on each side to fall, but it's going to be 11 to 11 with 35 seconds remaining. Will Alarm be able to be the hero like he was last time around? The next kill probably wins onto the King. It is 11 to 11. Cannot be closer to this. In the last round, 12 to 11 now for Chipsa and Carpe. 20 seconds now for Team 2 to tie this up.
Well, now all that Hayden has to do is stay alive. So Hayden just has to run away, but they are found, and they are going after these kills. Credit is running a last-ditch effort here with a whole hog into the corner.
Hayden is so low. There's only 3 seconds remaining, and they get the kill. 12 to 12. It's overtime. The next kill on the King is going to win. It doesn't get any better than this, ladies and gentlemen. This might be a community tournament, but this is still super hype as the Nano goes onto the McCree. 1 kill onto Alarm. Will Funny Astro be next? He's definitely going for it. Credit, though, is going to get the hook. Did he get the win? Team 1 wins, everybody. So it looks like our friends on the DPS squad are gonna beat their friends on the support squad. Carpe, a big reason why they were able to even tie that up, develop a lead, but we did get to overtime, and the last kill went over to Team 1. Beautiful, beautiful stuff going there. Pretty hype stuff for something like a workshop mode, like Protect the King, right?
Oh my gosh, that came down to the wire, and I was just like, what is going to happen? Bupasaurus, I was on the edge of my seat, and I had absolutely no idea how that was going to end, but what an amazing game, what an amazing game mode, and I am so excited about the games that we got a chance to watch today, but congratulations to Hayden, Chipsa, and Carpe for taking the win home. This is now Chipsa's 2nd win for these game modes.
I like how I thought you were gonna be like overall, and I was just like, I don't know about that, but
Why
I
would
do
I think dirty
believe.
like that?
I know, but that was absolutely amazing. Came down to the wire, just like you said. Absolute blast to cast. Thank you everyone for joining us, but we will get an interview here. Who do we got? Hey, Chips, are you there?
We're gonna get.
All right, Chipsa will be here. I'm so excited to hear about the strategy involved and the thought process behind the win.
Yeah, that's super exciting. We're gonna get a chance to talk to Chipsa again, and just as a reminder, if you missed some of the other content that the Philadelphia Fusion has put on, we did have a Doomfist 1v1 tournament to decide the best Doomfist on the Philadelphia Fusion, and of course, it was Chipsa. So the fact that we get a chance to talk to Chipsa again is gonna be so exciting. And if you are interested in the other content that the Philadelphia Fusion is running for you lovely viewers at home, hit that like button at the bottom of your Twitch page. That way you can stay up to date every single time the Philadelphia Fusion go live with this amazing content.
Oh man, that was who knew it could get that intense there at the end of like a Protect the King when there is like what?
I know.
I think it was 2 seconds when they tied it up to go into overtime. Right? And like at that point, like if I'm playing, I'm running off of pure emotion. Right? It's not. There's no strategy going on in my head. It's just game sense. But we've got Chipsai here. How's it going, my friend?
Roger
Chips,
to the Dodger. Nice.
All right, Chipsa, congratulations. I chose number
Wait,
one
they hear
because
me?
we hear you. We hear you, my friend.
Oh, God, okay. Oh. Okay. Hi. Sorry.
What a wonderful intro. Wouldn't have wanted it any more than that. Well, congratulations. That got pretty intense there at the end, dude.
Yeah, I was just expecting to be a little bit of fun, but you know, once we lost the second map, I was kind of a little bit annoyed that we lost. So I just went to take a full try hard, and we actually like talked about what comp we're going to run and how to beat that comp and all that kind of stuff. So
it's like it's like Fall Guys.
It was way more intense than I thought it would be.
yeah, it's like with Fall Guys, right? You go and it touches this primal anger for you, and even in a situation like Protect the King, right? It's close, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what you're competing in. You're competing, right?
Yeah, no, I mean I think that's like the competitive drive that I think pro players have. Like even in a fun event for fans and stuff, at the end of the day, we're still going to take it seriously.
Hell yeah, Necro.
Well, what about taking it seriously? You mentioned that you were talking about the compositions and the way that you need to actually beat the composition that the other team is running. So why'd you guys settle on the Reaper strategy at the very end for Eco Point Antarctica?
So our original plan was that if they're going to run this, if they're going to run like Ana Zen Hog, which is what they ran at the end of the second round, we were going to go Tracer because the Tracer could do a lot against the Ana and the Zen. And then if they played Brig, we'd switch to McCree, and then they ran Diva instead, which is strange. So we decided Reaper would be better because Reaper does, I mean, you can deal tanks better. Like you can kind of run at them, especially with Nano Boost and a Reaper, just running at them is kind of unstoppable. And then they made a few adjustments, and we kind of ended up in a mirror matchup with Ana, Hog, McCree, which is probably like the strongest comp, I would say, at least theoretically. So yeah, it's just about making micro adjustments. I think Ana and Hog were like the two picks that I think quite clearly are the strongest, because if you sleep or you nade the Hog, he's going to die every time pretty much. So I think that's why I picked those heroes.
So speaking of a Hog and Ana and potentially Sombra, moving on as we kind of expand a little bit out of Protect the King, going into the Fusion's next games, how are we feeling about the meta going forward here?
I have no idea. Like the meta is so. I think it's in a spot right now where it hasn't been a long time where I really don't think anyone knows what's going to be meta. I don't think like Hog Ball or Hog Zarya is going to be meta like what's being played ranked. I think it'll be like Zarya Sigma maybe, but honestly, who knows? I think we have a couple of weeks of practice, and that's really going to like drill down and look at like probably like the first week will just literally be like testing the meta, like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, But but I honestly have no idea. I think from the DPS end, I think hit scan's going to be good. I think that to me seems like a lock. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem. I don't see a world in which like either Tracer, Widow, Ashe, Sombra don't get played.
Yeah, totally agree. Necra, any final thoughts?
Yeah, Chipsa, let's talk about you for a second, because this is the second time we've seen you at this winner's interview, not only as the #1 Doomfist on the Philadelphia Fusion, which was no surprise to anybody, but now also as a part of the winning team for Protect the King. I mean, how are you must be feeling pretty good knowing that you're one of the best.
And it's nothing new for me, you know, being the best, top of the game, you know, undefeated in Overwatch League, undefeated in Doomfist tournament, undefeated in Protect the King, you know, undefeated in everything pretty much. That's kind of my MO.
You know, with a resume like that, though, are we going to see more of you in the Overwatch League?
Who knows? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
If we really need it, you know, we're in trouble. Might hit that red button. Bring it out.
You know,
have to wait.
You know,
and see.
there's a strategy in chess, which is make a move so stupid that you bring the level of play down to no one knows what they're doing, you know, and you know that's a legitimate strategy there.
Are you implying that playing it would be a stupid strategy? Is that your implication?
No, I'm saying it would be the great equalizer, my friend. It would be the great equalizer. That's
they wouldn't. They definitely wouldn't expect it. There's no way.
Well, thank you so much, Chipsa, for joining us. And do you have any other things to say to the fans that are watching right now?
Just thanks for being here. Thanks for playing. Thanks for watching. We all appreciate you guys a lot, and you know it wouldn't be possible with you guys. So thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and congratulations. And congratulate your king, as well as the king of Philadelphia is going to be Hayden for the time being.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Chipsa, for joining us. That's going to be it for us today. I'm so excited to see where this kind of tournament goes in the future, where some of these players are going to go in the next Overwatch League games, and whether what we saw today might actually have been a little bit of a microscope into what we might see next week. What do you think, Necra?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit in terms of what we get a chance to see. So I'm definitely looking forward to the games that we've got coming up. And again, if you like the content that the Philadelphia Fusion have been putting up on this Twitch channel, hit that like button, hit that follow button, and make sure that you're staying up to date with everything that the Fusion has to offer for you lovely people at home. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a great day of Overwatch today.
And I would like to thank everyone at home as well. You have been Necra. I have been Boop. This has been Protect the King. We'll definitely keep you updated on what other new content, what other new fan interactions the Fusion are going to be putting on in the future. Thank you, all of the producers, all of the players, all of the Kings involved in this wonderful moment in the community for the Philadelphia Fusion. Once again, I'm Boop, here with Necra. We'll see you next time.